It is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Happy Monday to all you folks that may be tuning in. Hopefully you had a wonderful weekend. To the ladies watching, hopefully you had a kind, if not bountiful, Mother's Day. Nevertheless, it is Monday and politics is back on the agenda. So we're going to be asking something because it's starting to turn into the candidate that will not go away. I want to point this out to you. Starting to turn into the candidate that won't go away. Now, many of you are totally aware, I think everybody's aware, that President Trump has a strong following among Republicans, among conservatives, hell, even among a lot of independents. Trump has a very strong following. Nevertheless, Indiana, last Friday, I believe it was, May 10th, if I'm correct, just had their primary. Now, the Republican nomination has been solved a long time ago. I think the last person to drop out was Nikki Haley on March 6th. So there is no one going up against Trump for the Republican nomination. It's his. It just has not been officially, he has not received it officially, but there's nobody in the running against Trump on the Republican side. But because the states have not concluded their primaries, they're still having these primaries all over the damn place, even though no one is running against Trump. Well, when we talk about the candidate that won't go away, even though Nikki Haley bowed out on March 6th, she is still continuing to appear with a significant margin of the votes. Novocaine, yeah! Thank you for the hat and mustache. Moo, I appreciate the subscription extension. That did not go unnoticed. Thank you, Moo. Moo's certainly a supporter of the program. Nikki Haley got 22% of the vote in Indiana. Now, we got to assume maybe the Democrats are trying to do this, but why would the Democrats show up to a primary to skew the numbers when it's already over with? Nikki Haley's not in the race. 22% of the vote in Indiana went to Nikki Haley. That means more than 1 in 5 Republicans are voting for someone else other than Trump, even though that someone else does not exist. So what I want to ask right off the bat, does this mean that President Trump may have a problem within the Republican Party? 22% of the vote last Friday in the state of Indiana went to Nikki Haley. Now, Indiana's a red state. Indiana's a red state. It's not a blue state, so it's not a bunch of liberal. I want to find out from you folks. 22% of the vote went to Nikki Haley. And this is not the only primary that has appeared since Nikki Haley bowed out on March 6th. Nikki Haley bowed out March 6th of this year. So you're talking over 3 months ago. There have been other primaries held after that, and she is consistently getting between 15 and over 20% of the vote. Now, we know these, the sympathizers with what's going on in Palestine are kind of doing the same to Biden, but the numbers are nowhere near this significant. Nowhere near. I mean, we're talking 100,000 votes here or there, like in Michigan, but 20% of the vote went to a candidate that has bowed out as of March 6th. Does this mean Trump is having any type of problems in the Republican Party? And if so, where are the Nikki Haley voters likely to go? Are they going to sit it out? We're going to be talking about that for sure. And I hate to even ask this second question so close to the election. It's crazy to be asking this in 2024, but we're hearing it over and over again. Anytime someone is interviewed, particularly on the right side of the aisle, but I assume it's happening on the left, Senator Tim Scott being one of the ones that was asked this recently. The question is, will you accept If your candidate of choice loses the election in November, will you accept the election results? You would never think this would be such a difficult question to pose to anyone, but it apparently is. If your candidate of choice, if you're voting for Biden and he loses, or you're voting for Trump and he loses, will you accept the election results if your candidate of choice loses? If not, why? Why would you not accept the results? Are we in a position now where we tend to believe if my guy doesn't win, this didn't happen? Somebody cheated. If my guy does not win, it's because the election was not held properly, because my guy is guaranteed to be victorious. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So you guys always know how the program is ran. It is, always will be, always has been MAGA friendly. MAGA are my preferred guests. Nevertheless, liberals are always welcome on the program as well. Whether you're in the box, comment section, conversing with yours truly, if we have a disagreement, no one gives a damn. You're entitled to your opinion on this program every day, all day. It's all about free speech. So understand we don't block, ban, or censor anyone. We go left of Bernie Sanders to him having dinner with QAnon. So here we are, looking in the comments, provoking questions, in my opinion, says Diana, Texas. Thank you very much, because someone else in the comments, Diana, Texas, once again was saying, irrelevant question. Is it irrelevant that will you accept the results of the election if your candidate loses? How is that irrelevant considering what happened in the last election? Going straight to the box, I want to ask you folks that. Why is Nikki Haley still getting as much as 22% of the vote 3+ months after bowing out? Looking in, go straight to the box. We'll go straight to the one and only Moo, the tuxedo cat. 3 months. She's been out for 3 months. How the hell is she still doing at least well enough to get, what is that, 20 over?
What's up, man?
1/5 of the voters are voting for Nikki Haley. What say you, Moo? Good afternoon.
Bad signal. Yikes.
I can hear you. Okay, we'll give Moo a moment. There's no way that's accurate, says a little chiller. Well, the problem is it's happening in multiple places. It didn't just happen in Indiana.
What I would tell you is Donald Trump should be pretty worried, but, those voters probably aren't going to vote for Biden. They just won't show up.
Okay, now, I don't know what just happened there. Apparently, we're having some signal issues. We'll give it a second. Let me try a different guest for a moment, and then we'll come back to more. I don't know what's
going on. Yeah, man. So I'm having a hard time making you out, man.
Okay, real quick before we let me do this. I'll reset the live because obviously something's going on the TikTok side, but the YouTube side we will continue. On YouTube, because she has the swamp protection coverage. What does that mean? One of my YouTubers stated that Nikki Haley has the swamp protection coverage. I don't quite get what that means, because she was nominated as ambassador by President Trump. Didn't he promise to drain the swamp? Are you suggesting that he nominated a member of it to his own administration? All right, we're back on YouTube. Let me see if we'll give it a moment for the audience on YouTube to appear back. West side of Indianapolis, says Michael D. Solar storms are ravaging the upper atmosphere, disrupting all kinds of signals. You think that's what this is? Huh? Solar storm? We'll give it a shot. Wow, that would suck. That would suck if our coverage is interrupted by a solar storm. I have heard that. Good afternoon. Been watching the live on the Biden impeachment. Not looking good for the Biden family. V-Pirate, you got to be kidding, right? Biden is in control of the Senate. That's all that needs to be said. Biden is in control of the Senate. It does not matter what the results of the impeachment are. Biden is in control of the Senate. No different than when Nancy Pelosi was trying to impeach Trump. The Senate is not going to have it. Doesn't matter what comes out of the impeachment hearing. I hate to say it like that, Because if Biden is guilty, he should fall victim to being impeached. But fact is, we are in a tribalistic political arena. And as long as the Senate is Democratic, they're not going to impeach Biden. It would have to be a significant issue. If the Republicans did not impeach Trump for January 6th, I'm going to assume the Democrats are going to be like, the hell are we going to impeach Biden for Burisma or some Ukraine? It's not going to happen. But I do appreciate your input. They have nothing to impeach him, says Wilbert. That too, I don't believe that there's enough there to even get a legitimate impeachment of Biden, even from the Republican side. But even if they do, the Democrat Senate is not going to let it go anywhere. There's nothing coming out of there. Let me try it again with the signal. With Moo the Tuxedo Cat. We had a problem last time. Moo, are you there?
I am here, man. What's going on?
I don't know. We had a major issue last time. I'm doing good. Good to have you back on. So what do you think? Nikki Haley is still doing somewhat. She's getting 20 to 22% of the vote in primaries 3 months after she dropped out.
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of Republicans, classical corporatist Republicans who are not thrilled with Donald Trump, but they're probably not going to vote for Biden. So I'm not excited about it. That just shows that a lot of the centrists in the Republican Party don't want Trump anymore, but they're not going to be Biden voters. So it doesn't get me super excited.
Yeah, but if they're not supporting Trump, they could be like the Bernie bros when Hillary Clinton was running up against Trump. Maybe they don't vote at all.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. They probably won't vote at all. They'll just stay at home and sit it out. So I don't think that does Biden. I mean, it's good to see that there are still some people who aren't that dumb in the Republican Party and they get it, but it's not going to help Biden,
Wait, Moo, we're talking 22%. Even if 10%, even if half or quarter, you're talking about registrable percent. I mean, it could be as many as 5 to 10% of the Republican vote. You don't think that would help Biden out at all?
I mean, you gotta hope that what you gotta hope for is that that Biden will not that he'll change his views on Palestine, because all Biden has to do is 3 things and he would destroy Trump in the election. He should pack the Supreme Court and then codify Roe versus Wade, bring it back, set it in stone, right? He needs to implement God, I've lost my train of thought here. Sorry, I mean, my bad, man.
Wait.
My bad, dude.
You think he should pack the Supreme Court?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man, pack it. You need to be brutal against these Republicans, right? Because they're relentless at this point, right? They're trying to start a database for pregnancies. They want to track women's pregnancies at this point. I mean, this is the party of big government now. Republicans have gone way, way far away from the party of small government. They want to implement government in your medical decisions. They want to track your pregnancy so that they can come after you if you try to get an abortion, right? These guys want to use the government against LGBTQ people. They're using the government to get rid of educational materials. I mean, Republicans are the party of massive government at this point.
Yeah, but now, because when you start talking about packing the Supreme Court, Lisa in the comments, for instance, says this is why we're so divided, because of guys like him, suggesting that packing the Supreme Court would divide us further. Do you think Biden could even do that?
Yeah, well, yeah, of course he can. It's within the presidential power. But let's get one thing straight with your guest here. I don't want to be united with you. You're a fascist, right? You believe in taking women's reproductive rights away. You want to instill a dictator into government. You guys raided the Capitol. You let the dude install fake electors, and you tried to steal the election. And then you want to project it onto people like we stole the election from you. I mean, no, I don't want to be united with you people. There is no uniting with you people. So let's not make that mistake.
Yeah, but how is it if you don't want to unite? And by the way, folks, tap the screen. We got to get the numbers up. Tap the screen. Get me on up to around 10,000. Only 200, so I don't know what's going on with the numbers here. But tap the screen. Get the likes up. You want to keep the country divided, Moo? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, it's not. It's not. Listen, this is like you're talking 70 million people at most, and that's a huge over exaggeration. I'm just going off of the amount of votes that Trump got in the last election. That's not even like a third of the country. So the country's not divided. You have a sect of morons in a cult, right, who need to be dealt with, right? You know, and that's the end of it, right? I mean, Trump is going to pass away any day now, right? The dude is fat, he's unhealthy, right?
You said
So
any
once
day.
he goes, they're done. Yeah, any day. The dude's like 100 years old, right? He has dementia. He can barely put a sentence together. He eats McDonald's every day. I mean, your homeboy's going to be in the grave any day now, and that'll be a happy day for me.
Damn, you think Trump's health is that bad? Some would suggest that it's Biden that's up there falling down.
He's old too, but I'm not here to argue which one's older, right? They're both old. They both don't need to be president, right? Neither of them should be running at this point. But yeah, your homeboy's going to pass away any day now. I mean, the guy's almost like 80 years old. I don't know why you people are investing so much in a guy who's like got 1 foot in the grave, 1 foot on a banana peel, right?
Well, I mean, you don't think Biden, you don't think Trump is going to be dead in the next 4 years, do you?
Sure. Yeah, probably.
Really?
Yeah.
Based on what?
The dude's unhealthy as hell. Listen, the guy's unhealthy as hell, right? He has mental health problems, physical health problems. He's obese. So, yeah, any day the dude's going to pass away.
Oh, come on, Moon. You being comical. I think Trump will survive.
I'm not. He's already past the average life expectancy. Any day that dude is going to pass away.
Okay, I don't know what to do with that. All right, let me ask you this second question. And considering the fact that you're saying he may pass away, the second part of our show we're talking about
there is no may, right? The guy is going to die eventually.
Well, yeah, I think we all are going to die eventually, but hopefully not in the next 4 years.
I don't see what. Look, again, the guy eats McDonald's every day, right? He's fat. He puts that orange chemical on his skin all the time. I'm surprised he doesn't have tumors all over his body.
Oh, my God.
But, whatever.
Well, according to Trump, his doctor gave him a clean bill of health.
I mean, yeah, okay. Well, I wouldn't go see that doctor, you know what I mean? I would probably refrain from going to that practice because they're going to lie to you about your health, right?
Let me just clear it up. Do you have can you say anything good about Trump at all? I'm just curious. We've had lots of conversations.
Why would I say something good about a fascist who wants to be a dictator? Why would I do that? Why do you do that, right? The dude tried to steal your democracy, and here you are trying to say good things about him, right? People are already in jail for this fake elector scheme, so we know it happened. We know Trump is guilty. When that trial happens, and just because whatever her name is gets thrown off the case or not, that case is still proceeding. And he's going to be found guilty because there are already people who have been found guilty.
You're talking about Fonnie Willis, but if Trump wins in November, you still think he's going to be found guilty in that case?
There already have been people. So Chesborough, right, was already found guilty. I believe he pled. So the fake elector scheme happened. It's real. And someone already copped a plea deal to it. So there is no guessing whether it happened or not. It happened. People are serving time for it.
I don't buy it. I'm gonna tell you why I say this. As long as you got the Republican Supreme Court out there, you can appeal state cases. If you come up with some kind of savvy way of suggesting what happened to you in a state case was unconstitutional, you can appeal it to the Supreme Court. And I think most people believe that Supreme Court is likely to give Trump the benefit of the doubt.
Let him try, man. Like I said, it is what it is. And I'm not sitting here saying that Trump can't be president again. I'm just saying that there's no good reason for him. MAGA is not a populist movement, right? They want to give your money to rich people, mostly Donald Trump, right? It's not like they want to take your money and fund Medicare for all or clean up the environment, right? They're totally okay with Trump selling off public parklands. They say drill, baby, drill. So this fucked up weather that you're getting in all your states, that's going to continue, right? He's not going going to give resources to the middle class. He's not going to give a tax cut to the middle class without giving a bigger, more permanent one to rich people, which, by the way, will increase inflation even more than it already is. So it's not like MAGA is this middle class movement, right? Y'all want trickle down economics. You want to keep giving our money to rich people because you still have that welfare queen mentality. So, you're not a populist movement. You're a fascist movement. You're a Nazi movement.
Wait a minute. First of all, why do you say that? You said this before. What about MAGA is a Nazi movement? I don't. If there's black people, Hispanics in there.
So Nazi playbook, right? Always have an enemy, and in this case, their enemy is minorities and LGBTQ people, right? Classic fascism is to go after homosexual people, LGBTQ people, minorities, right? In Germany, they blamed all their economic problems on Jewish people, and then they went after them, right? And Trump wants to blame everything on immigrants and round them up into camps, right? And then do whatever with them at that point. But yeah, these are all, and he spews Hitler rhetoric all the time, right? He says things like, those people are vermin, their blood is fucked up, right?
Yeah.
All those kinds of things.
He does say that. He does say
by
that.
his bedside. So yeah, your movement is a Nazi movement. You're not a movement for the people. You're not trying to. Yeah, and
based on what you're saying, then
other than for rich people, you guys want tax.
Let me ask you this. Based on what you're saying, simple question. Can America, in your opinion, can America survive 4 more years of Trump?
America will be a fascist state. It's not like the country's going to up and disappear if Trump becomes president. It will still be America. It would just be a fascist America. It can still be America under fascism, right? It's just a name. America's just a name. It doesn't matter what you have behind it. It's still America. It would just be fascist America.
So what about the notion that if Trump wins, who's clearly not your chosen candidate, okay, you have 4 years of policies or 4 years of a president, 4 years of an administration you don't like, but then afterwards we go back to, fighting Democrat versus Republican and back to normal. Do you see Trump
I don't believe there's any going back. I think the dude's going to get rid of the election system.
So you do believe it'll be permanent changes if Trump gets elected?
He's going to get rid of your election system. That's what he keeps on saying. He wants to be a dictator.
So America can survive Trump, but it will be a different America.
Fair elections, right? He has to keep on saying how it was stolen.
Wow. All right. I mean, but
it would just be a different America. It's still America. It would just be a fascist one.
Every time I talk to you, I hope that you're wrong because you paint this Armageddon picture. And I see Gen Xer on YouTube. Thank you for the super chat. It's in yapping little Antifa tard or Antifa retard. You don't support Antifa, do you? Moo?
Sure I do. I'm anti-fascist, absolutely. Anybody who's not a fascist is Antifa. Yeah.
Oh, well...
Yeah, I'm Antifa as hell.
Okay, so he's calling you an Antifa retard, but I get your point. I don't know.
Antifa is.
Huh? Say that again?
Well, he must be a fascist, right? So he's just proving my point, right? He's a fascist, so he doesn't like Antifa. People who don't like Antifa are fascist. If you're not anti-fascism, you're pro-fascism.
Well, I don't know if it's that simple, because that would be like saying people who don't like Black Lives Matter mean they don't like black people. I get how you're saying it, but Antifa.
That's not so. Antifa is not an organization. It's not an organization. There is no office to go in where you join up with Antifa.
Right.
It's a word. It means anti-fascist. It's not an organization. It's not any kind of movement. It just means you are anti-fascist. That's it.
Yeah. All right. I don't know. When they look at what they're going to bring up Portland, Chaz, what they were doing in terms of taking over communities. And I mean, they went beyond just fighting against fascism.
So again, I don't know what you're talking about. There is no Antifa group. It's not like people go to meetings and, hey, we're all Antifa. Let's go out and take over a town. It doesn't happen. Again, Antifa is a word that means anti-fascist. It's not an organization. There is no Antifa membership. There's no club you go to. There's no leader. It means you're anti-fascist. So I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, I'll leave it at that. But before I let you go, the last question, just to get clarity, you're suggesting that Trump did not do one single thing good for America. You can't come up with one thing he did good for America.
So the thing is when you are going to take away a voting system and become a dictator, it doesn't matter at that point what you may or may not have done. Okay. The fact is you're trying to get rid of elections, right? And MAGA's okay with this. Understand that MAGA wants the destruction of this government, which is why they want Donald Trump, right? They're okay with all of these things happening. That's why you can't talk them out of it. They want to dismantle the government. Wow. They want a dictator. They want to eliminate women who are getting abortions by throwing them in prison with their doctors, right? They want to track people's pregnancies. They want to get rid of minorities. They want to get rid of gay people. They want to get rid of LGBTQ people. They want all of your money to go to rich people. That's why you can't talk them out of this. This is exactly what they want.
Damn. All right, Moo. All right, I'm depressed enough. I appreciate you coming on. Thanks for the extension, by the way. Always somewhat of a pleasure, but you pay some awful pictures, man. I want to say the same. I hope you're wrong. Damn, that's scary, man. Appreciate it. All right, looking in the comments, I see someone had Moo for president. Moo is correct, says Ravens 25 fan. Wow, and that's the truth. Salty sees. A lot of you folks agree with Moo, huh? Why do you have this guy? Well, did you see the comments before yours there, Ed Williams? Why do you have this guy? Because a lot of the viewers agree with him. Just like I'm sure, Ed, if you came up, and we would not censor your opinion, understand that, regardless of if you believe the last guy was a total idiot, or if you believe he had it spot on, we would not censor your comment as well. And a lot of folks would either favor you or ask, why the hell were you on as well? That's how free speech works. You're not going to hear opinions you always agree with or vice versa. But this is not an echo chamber, folks. We do believe in letting folks speak. I may have to, got somebody cutting the grass near me. I may have to change location. Now, looking in the comments, this guy doesn't do his homework. I didn't like Trump, and then I put all aside and researched, and that's when I changed my mind. Garden Goddess, love the name. Okay, so you didn't like Trump. You put all aside. Well, what did you put aside? That's the issue. What did you put aside to do research and then suddenly start liking Trump? What did you put aside? Going back to the box, tap the screen, get the likes on up to 20,000. Happy Monday to all you folks on YouTube. Feel free to smash that like button. I think you got to hit the 3 dots at the top of your screen. It helps out the algorithm. Yeah, I'm trying to figure if I'm going to move the vehicle because somebody's cutting grass next to me in an industrial lawnmower. Not all Americans, not Americans, if you no vote Trump USA. I don't quite get your comment there, Troy, the wording of it. The fact that you have to put bad stuff aside to search for a good thing says a lot. I wanted to get clarity before I made that statement. I want to get clarity before I suggest that this person is putting bad things aside. I don't want to drive while I'm on the camera, but this lawnmower is really loud. Going back to the box, we'll keep it moving. Electric Wolf, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Asking that question, would you accept if your opposition won the election? Wolf, good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm doing good.
If they won the election, yes. Well, you'd have to. I mean, that's just the whole...
No, you don't.
The way it works.
They didn't accept the last election.
But we still went through it, right? I didn't accept the last election either. I don't think it was legit. But, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, but that's what I'm asking you. Would you accept the results if let's say Biden wins in November? Are you willing to accept those results?
Yeah, if it wins that night, yes.
What do you mean if he wins that night?
If I don't wake up in the morning with 1.7 billion votes for him all of a sudden, yeah, I accept the election.
Okay. Well, but even if you wake up in the morning and the results are different...
No, I don't want to wake up in the morning. Nope. I want it counted. We're smart enough to count it that day. Stop it. Stop it.
Well, but here's
we already did it. We already did the little COVID thing where, oh no, people can't stand next to each other and have a conversation and then go vote. We have to wait and mail and drop boxes and all. I don't want to hear it. I want it voted the way we always vote. Get rid of the drop boxes. There's no more COVID. There's no more monster around the corner. Just vote that day. We get the election results and we're done.
But that's it. But here's the problem though. If you got Trump telling folks to come in and vote on election day, but the liberals are allowing folks to mail in their votes, that's where that comes from. Trump should never have told people that they can't mail in their votes.
Listen, handsome, that's a beautiful statement, and it's wonderful, and I totally agree. I don't believe it. The whole waking up in the morning, no, we're not going to wake up in the morning anymore. We want it done that day like it has always been done, except for Bush with the little guy winking his eye, looking through that close of a thing, I understand. But no, it's going to be a blowout one way or another. And
so let me ask you.
That's the only way.
Let me ask it to you this way. Let's say the election was held, and before you went to bed, it was looking like Biden was going to win. When you woke up in the morning, Trump was way the hell out front. You're going to tell me you would not accept that? No, it's not going to happen like that. Look, see, the thing is, you're trying to conflate two things. You're trying to say, look, the Democrats are cheaters and the Republicans will be cheaters too. No, I don't want cheaters on any side. The Democrats are fantastic organizers and cheaters. I'll give them that. They're fantastic at doing all sorts of stuff illegally. But my opinion, TikTok, don't knock me out, okay? Stop crying. Now, the thing is I don't believe that. It's either going to be a blowout one way or another, but it should be that night. But why are you saying that the Democrats are so savvy at cheating when there were so many Republicans that actually confessed in a court of law to doing so?
That actually what?
Confessed, pled guilty to doing so in a court of law. Mike DeSella, yeah! Thank you for that hat and mustache. You got fake electors on the Republican side of the aisle, Wolf, that pled guilty in numerous states.
Like who? Like those Jenna Ellison people and all that?
The Fonnie Willis case, for instance. Several of them pled guilty. Several electors in Wisconsin. Several electors in Arizona. They've pled guilty to coming in as a fake elector trying to control the electoral college votes for the Republican side of the aisle.
If I'm not mistaken, they pleaded guilty to a lesser charge of, I don't know, it was like crossing illegally or whatever. I think they did it just to save their ass, and I don't blame them because they're being railroaded anyway. That's just my opinion. But again, I could give two shits if they cheated or not. It's not the first. It won't be the. Hopefully, it won't be the last. Hopefully, it'll be the last time a party cheats. I mean, I believe.
But you made it sound. Wait. You made it sound like the Democrats cheat and the Republicans don't. Now, when I give you examples of the Republicans cheating right now, you suddenly don't care.
Well, no, I don't think they cheat. I don't think that's cheating. I don't think the whole fake elector thing, I have to look more into, but I don't think that's cheating. I'm talking about actual cheating with votes and ballots and printing illegally, all that stuff. To me, all that is all Democrats, and they're good at it. That's just me. I don't think Republicans are good at it. I don't know why. I just don't think they're good at it.
Why would you? You do realize a state has a certain amount of electoral college votes. Once you win that state, that state gives you the electoral college votes. The fake electors were going to divert the whole state's votes. They were trying to steal a whole state.
Well, they were trying. Yeah, I guess that's what you're. I'll go with what you're saying. I believe if that's the case too. But when Trump was elected, what happened with all of Hollywood coming out and trying to convince and force the electors to change their minds? With advertising with that, when they were trying to replace the electors, remember all that stuff in 2016?
That's not.
No one remembers that shit.
Yeah, that's
okay. You're gonna say it's not the same thing.
No.
Okay, it's not the same. I don't care. I just don't care. I'm looking forward to 2024. I want the election that night.
Okay. Well, you already know. But you already know now.
I have loyalty to Republicans either as far as the scumbags. I don't. I just think Democrats are really, really good cheaters. It's a good compliment.
You already know now, though, Wolf, the election is not likely to be decided that night. You know you can mail in votes.
It will. I bet you it will.
How are you so sure about that?
Because all of them have been. They all will be, except for the 2021. Other than that, they've all been elected at night. It's 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4. That's okay. But we're going on 2, 3, 4 days. No. We're not doing that shit again. It's not going to happen again.
I don't know.
Just everybody's going to go vote.
You do realize this election is likely to have the largest voter turnout in quite a while. I mean, the idea that it all should be counted overnight.
That's their fucking job, handsome. Yes. You it's like the Olympics. You work all 4 years to be ready for this situation. Don't give me this, well, I'm going to need another 4 days. Fuck you. You should be ready. Get it done. It's going to happen. Let me tell you, they don't vote in one Walmart in a corner in line. They're separated everywhere. There's plenty of time. They got plenty of people to count the votes, everything else. It's just going to happen. It has to happen.
So let me ask you to you this way. If for some reason the votes are all not counted the first night, does that automatically equate to somebody has to be cheating?
I'm going to be suspect, yes. It's going to be suspect. If they come up with this, well, we'll have it in about 48 hours, and then they're going to come out, well, it's going to take probably 72. No. It needs to be done one night. It can be one night. We're not a shitty, dumbass country either. We can get it done. It's just, we let them get away with the cheating last time. TikTok, this is my opinion only and for entertainment purposes. But the thing is, it's my opinion that it was totally stolen. But hey, we move on. Let's go to the next election.
Well, in regards to it being stolen, why isn't there more evidence by now? Well, if it's been 3 years.
Well, it just came out that they've destroyed a shitload in Georgia. I mean, to be honest, handsome, I just don't care anymore. It's too late.
That ain't what I'm not asking you. You're making a statement. You're saying you don't care. I get it. But you're saying the Democrats stole it. I'm asking you, why is there not enough evidence to prove that case, at least even to the Republicans? The Republican senators in Congress don't believe the election was stolen.
Oh, no. You have to remember, look. When politicians are like, oh no, I believe Biden's the president. They're just being politicians. They're a bunch of pussies, and you know it. I think if you
the whole Senate body is being pussies.
I think the whole Senate, the whole Congress, I think it's all bullshit. I think they're trying to save their job. They don't want to ruffle the water, mess the waters up. They don't want to screw the waters. They don't want to mess up the waters. They like what they're doing. They like the money they're making, handsome. It doesn't matter whether Republicans or Democrats. This is the shit I want Donald Trump, when he's elected, hopefully he'll get rid of.
Wolf.
He'll be able to
wait. You're saying they want to keep their jobs. They don't want to rock the boat. Mike Pence doesn't even have a job, and he's saying Trump lost. Why is that?
Of course, because he hates Trump. He's what do they call it when you're part of the problem?
He's honest. He's honest.
He's what? Stop it. He's not honest. He's going with the flow because he likes the whole politician with the shirt and the tie and the reputation that, oh my God, you can't talk to me like that. I'm a senator. I'm a congressman. I work for this and we don't care about that shit anymore. We don't care about that shit.
So what you saying?
Violation warning.
So what you're saying is, it happens. What you're saying is, you want a senator or a congressperson that you can talk to like shit. Is that what you're saying?
No, that they can talk to each other like shit and make sure that they're working. They haven't been working for us. In my opinion, they haven't been working for us. It's that simple. They haven't been for years and years. I think now they're scared because they're like, man, this guy's going to come back in and cause all sorts of chaos, which I'm in for. I'm in for this chaos. Just like Moo, I'm Antifa. I'm anti-fascist. I'm in on him. There's no head. Did you see that script he pulled out when you asked him about that? You can actually hear. There is no leader. There is no group. There is no phone number. That was fantastic. Man, he was right on point.
All right. So at the end of the day, what about his comments about how they want to attract women? They're going to get rid of the LGBT. He believes that that MAGA is a bunch of Nazis. What about those comments?
It's because they're terrified. They try to fearmonger on everything. I mean, stop being so scared. Look, it's going to be an election. If Trump wins, it's going to be okay. He's not going to track you down. He's not going to put you in jail. He's already said he's not willing to do an abortion ban federally. He's already given I mean, he'll be okay. You'll be all right. You'll still have 4 more years bitching, moaning, and crying, but I mean, it's okay. The democracy and the beautiful republic that America is will not go down.
The crazy thing is, I do got to move it on, but the crazy thing is everything you just listed, it's not going to be a dictator, he's not going to do this, the only reason why people believe that's going to happen is because he's actually saying that's what he wants to do.
Well, but see, you have to understand. I mean, I know you understand he's a smartass, but the thing is, you know what? If the second he tries to be dictatorial, the first people that are going to go after him are MAGA, because that's not what we want, and there's no way we're going to allow that because we love the country too much.
I do. Here, let me give you an example. He's talked about giving the police immunity. I don't hear shit from MAGA. He's talked about tracking women when they're pregnant. I don't hear nothing from MAGA. He talked about being a dictator. I don't see MAGA going after him on any of this stuff. Hold on, hang on. But when Bezos, running for governor of Texas, yelled out, "You're damn right, I'm going to take away your guns," they went after him. I'm not seeing them go after Trump for any of this stuff. Why is that?
Well, yeah, they're not going to go. Of course, they're going to go after Beto because he was going after our Second Amendment, and that's our right. They have no right to go after that. They're there to defend our rights, not change our rights, not take away our rights. That's
immunity
with Trump is not the immunity. Now, as far as the immunity for the cops. As far as immunity, and you shoot someone, whatever, you better have a good reason. But we've had this discussion before. I believe in holding the police accountable at a higher standard because they have that immunity.
You're not hearing what I'm saying, though. You told me that if Trump does this stuff, MAGA would go after him. Why are they ignoring him?
Because we know he's not going to be. Well, first of all, we have a sense of humor, and we understand when he's just fucking bullshitting. The thing is, he's not going to be a dictator, period. The second there's a whiff of him being a dictator, or if that comes out of his fucking mouth, I guarantee you MAGA's going to be the first one to show up on his doorstep and say, "Can I have a word with you?" And it's not going to happen.
So let me get this clear. So because you said when he's joking and all that, you really think when he's talking about giving cops immunity, you actually bust up laughing when he said that?
No, I don't care about the immunity as long as it also comes with higher standard for the authority. That's the thing. Me personally, I think it should be a federal case be made federal if an officer shoots an unarmed individual. I don't care what color, just an unarmed individual is killed during the process of a stop. I automatically think they make it a federal. Automatically. I don't think they should turn off body cams at all. I don't think they should cover them when they're talking to their lieutenants or their sergeants, stuff like that.
A lot of that, Wolf,
I know.
A lot of that would have been in the George Floyd Act. That your side of the aisle.
Well, yeah, but let me tell you, we can't get into that because I'll get in trouble and whatever, but I don't give a shit about the George Floyd Act. What I want is, I want responsible bills and responsible laws for responsible citizens. You want to be irresponsible, you want to be a criminal, you suffer those. That's on you. It comes to a point where if you're going to live the life that you want to live, and you want to live this thug life, and I mean every creed and color and sexual orientation, you want to live like that, you want to go die or unalive yourself in a hail of firearms, that's up to you. But I'm talking about reasonable laws for reasonable people. You want to be a scumbag and then you turn around and say, well, I want to be able to unalive a cop without being hurt? No, that's not going to happen. You get what you get.
All right, I'll say, wow, Dims, wow, I've never seen it. Thank you for that.
That would be for me.
That was for me, damn it. But wait a minute, his name is Dims for Trump. Democrats for Trump. So maybe,
Yeah.
but it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Thank you. But here's the issue. I got to move it on. But I don't want you to get banned because I know you're getting censors for all of this shit. But you know, it's always good to talk to you. Here's the issue, though. You say you want responsible laws because you're seeing so much comedy in some of this stuff. I don't know what responsible is to you. If he can say immunity and you crack up laughing at that, I don't know what responsible is to you.
Crack up laughing at what?
You said this stuff that Trump is promising, tracking women, is just him making jokes. This isn't funny to other people.
No, that's not what I said. You see, that's the liberal shit in you. That's you put everything together. I was laughing at the dictator thing. The thing about tracking women, he has yet to say that shit. There are Republicans and there are people with a lot of fucking time on their hands that come up with this federal abortion. But Trump already said, listen, problem with the mother, health of the mother, I don't know what, there's a certain happy medium where everybody's going to have to get to. It's in the states. It's not up to me. Leave it to the states. That simple. He's out of it. It's that simple. We move on. If you don't like what's going on in your state, you vote for it. And women will do it. Men will do it. Everything else. Do I think abortion should be illegal and banned 110%? No. But the thing is also, just call it what you're calling it. You're unaliving another human being. Don't try to sugarcoat it and call it a clump of cells and shit like that. Own it. Own it. But the thing is, that's not the biggest problem in this world. We have so many bigger issues to worry about that we can just not worry about abortion anymore. I think we should move it to the side.
All right, I can talk to you forever as always, Wolf. Always a pleasure. I got a million questions for you, but I do got other people holding on.
We'll have it another time. But hey, Cohen Killer, he's on today, and he's looking like an asshole. Just want to let you know, but it's your fault. You fucked up his karma. You fucked up his whole confidence, everything. You ate him.
I don't know. Michael Cohen may actually take you down. I do appreciate you coming on.
Fuck that guy.
Always a pleasure talking to Electric Wolf. He is definitely MAGA. You know how we run the program. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. My opinion is that the things that are often excused that Trump say that are a joke is probably what's causing him the most misery with some of the voters. And by the way, Dems for Trump. That graphic was awesome. Thank you for your support on the program, Dems for Trump. Thank you very much. Cohen is definitely the star, says Miss Des. The problem is because Michael Cohen has, and I'll go back to the box. The problem is because Michael Cohen went to prison for perjury, it's trying to convince people that he's not lying now when most folks acknowledge he does not like Trump. Because he's the primary link between Trump and the actual alleged crime. If take Michael Cohen out of the picture, there's no way to link Trump to the payments to Stormy Daniels to interfere with the campaign or election interference or whatever they're charging him with. Now, Trump is trying to suggest that Michael Cohen did this stuff on his own. He never slept with Stormy Daniels. The idea that Trump did not sleep with Stormy Daniels, I don't know how many Americans. I do get some MAGA on the program that do believe that. Before I go back to the box, tap the screen, get your boy on up to around 40,000 on the likes. Helps out the algorithm. You know, we always say it brings in more MAGA. The program will be MAGA friendly. MAGA are my preferred guests. Liberals welcome as well. On YouTube, feel free to smash that like button for the exact same reason. I think the 3 dots in the top of your screen allows you to get access to it. Looking in the comments, people should look into prisons. I used to work at one. Look at how much it costs taxpayers per inmate per year. V-Pirate, you lean right. If America looked into its penal system, it's going to go against the wishes of the Republican Party. Republicans are the ones that are tough on crime, stronger sentences, make things felonies, hold people in jail or incarcerate people longer. It usually comes from the right. In modern times, I guess you could bring up the crime bill, but it usually comes from the right. So if we looked into America's penal system, we would find out that our system is incredibly unfair. There's a lot of people that are incarcerated that should not be, or that are still under the weight of the system years after they've gotten out. It's hurting their life. Yeah, I don't disagree with you that it costs taxpayers money, but because a lot of it is done on the there's a lot of for-private prisons. A lot of folks in this country that mostly vote to the right are actually profiting off of incarceration, whether it's the markup for products you purchase in prison, the phone calls cost a ridiculous amount. They're making money off incarceration. That's a whole different live stream, though. But going back to the box, Kamala held people longer even with DNA evidence in jails. The whole country is in favor of it, but it's more on the right. I mean, you hear folks on the right always, liberals are soft on crime. You don't hear folks on the left accusing the right of being soft on crime. It's the other way around. The folks on the right want people held in prison longer. Death penalty. You don't hear liberals promoting the death penalty. It's usually folks on the right. Going back to the box, we're asking that question. Nikki Haley's getting 20% of the vote in Indiana. Why the hell is that still happening 3 months after she's out of the race? Why is Nikki Haley still getting votes? DJ Julio, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Something just said, Trump 47 president. It hasn't happened yet. Give it time. It could happen. We're stuck paying for someone else's food. We're stuck paying for somebody else's food and board for life. Here's what I don't, and we'll get a box time to reset, but here's one of the things that I really hate. Somebody goes out and commits a heinous crime, and they get a life sentence. And folks bring up that they should have been executed because they're on the taxpayer's dime for 20, 30, 40 years or whatever. Are we so focused on making or keeping our money that we would rather kill someone to save money? If a criminal is a threat to society and they qualify for the death penalty in some of these states that do it, okay, we can argue that. I'm no fan of capital punishment, but we can argue that for, if they really are a true danger to society. But I don't ever believe that you should use the savings of tax money as an excuse to execute someone. I'm not executing them for his crime. I'm executing them to save taxpayer money. Do you realize how greedy that makes us look? To even throw that in the conversation. You're using the saving of tax money to execute somebody. It should never come up. And that's a good response. R.G. McKnight in caps. That's the same people crying about being pro-life. That is true. That absolutely is true. The same people who are pro-life are talking about executing people to save tax money. I do believe that's true. Going back to the box, to Keisha Bowie. Thank you for holding to Keisha. Good afternoon. So,
hey, handsome.
Good to have you back on. What do you think, Nick?
How are you?
I'm doing good. Happy Mother's Day, by the way, to you.
Thank you so much. Listen, I want to say I love Moo. I'm about to go buy a cow. I just really love Moo.
Well, I'm a man, so I've always been told, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? But I get your point. So
I love him.
Moo is good. Moo is good conversation. But what do you think? Nikki Haley in Indiana, a red state, Friday. Now, she's been out of the race for 3 months. She got 20% of the vote. Is there a lot of unhappy Republicans out there?
Didn't Leaky Cheek say he didn't want her voters' votes? Isn't that what he said?
Yeah, he's talking about Trump.
Okay, yeah, Leaky Cheeks. So that's what I call it. Everybody know I call it Leaky Cheeks. Anyway, he said he didn't want their votes, and they said they're never Trumpers.
Wow.
So they're never gonna vote for him, regardless of what goes on. You have people that still believe in principle over party.
Yeah.
And those are those people. So they're not going to vote for him. They might never vote for Biden, but they're never going to vote for Trump. They might write Nikki Haley name in, or they might give RFK their vote, but they're not going to vote for Leaky Cheeks.
That's an interesting point, because when Hillary Clinton called the right deplorables, they held that, you're speaking awful to us as a voter. Trump did tell the Nikki Haley supporters, we don't want your vote. He did say something like that.
That's what he told them. So they're just giving him what he doesn't want. He's not getting their votes. They just being obedient.
Wow.
He should have hushed his. He should have shut up.
Think it'll matter?
Oh, absolutely.
So do you think Biden?
Because see, they put RFK in there as a plant to take votes from Biden. And now it's backfiring on him because he's actually taking votes from Trump. Now Trump is on social media talking about the man. But at first, you was glad he was in the race because you thought it was going to affect the votes for Biden. But now you see it's having a negative effect on your votes. And now you're talking about the man.
Yeah, I was going to say that. When you look at RFK, who would think that he would take votes from Biden? Now, he ran as a Democrat, but he's not talking anything that the Democrats favor.
Let me tell you something. We're not that crazy that we would even believe anything RFK says. That's why Trump could never get in as a Democrat, and he had to go on to be a Republican, because our minds are not that easily swayed.
I don't know. I got to disagree with you to some degree. When Trump was first coming on the scene, he was suggesting that the economy is better under Democrats. Actual quotes. He said the economy is better under Democrats. He was in favor of. He was stating actually that people don't need high capacity magazines. He was against AR-15s. I mean, he was saying things that.
But did we believe him enough to make him a Democratic candidate?
I think we would have if he hadn't continued.
But I'm asking a question. Did we?
If he had ran in
I think we would have. The question is, did we?
No, we did not, because he didn't run. He didn't run when he was saying that stuff.
And he wouldn't, because he knew he wasn't going to make it. He was.
I don't know, Keisha. I think if he had ran in the 80s, I mean, if Jesse Jackson got several votes, he didn't come close to
I wouldn't care if Jesse Jackson daddy got 8 votes. We were not going to vote Donald Trump. I'm sorry, no. We're not handsome.
So you see Trump as that bad?
Oh, absolutely.
So what about?
I don't have anything good to say about him, to be honest with you.
Let me ask you the same question I asked Moo then. You don't think Trump did a single thing good for this country while being president?
What'd he do?
I'm asking you.
No, I don't.
Nothing at all. Tax cuts.
That didn't help me. I'm not in the 1%.
Well, he gave tax cuts to everybody for at least.
Yeah, but how long did it last?
Less than not long. I mean, it's gone already. But.
Okay, so come on now. Let's give me something else. Right. Come on, okay. Give me something else.
You didn't favor the economy under him?
Wasn't his. Go ahead.
But he was in office.
Doesn't matter.
You travel.
Doesn't matter.
You travel.
Have you actually gone over a chart of the economy, the economic growth from Obama to Trump, then Trump to Biden?
And I don't disagree with you at all that the economy was continued to excel under Obama, and when he inherited the economy was, even though Trump was saying that Obama trashed everything, the economy certainly was doing well under Obama. But
I was done with Donald Trump when he lied and said there was no PPP supplies left by Obama's administration, and then the member of his cabinet came out and had to say it was a lie.
Well, then
I don't have anything. I don't like people who purposely lie to make another person look bad and make themselves look good. I don't like stuff like that.
And I already know how you're likely to respond to this, but it comes up inevitably.
You know how I'm gonna do it now. Come on.
Okay, I know how you're gonna do it, and I'm gonna go. You can throw it back at me. Celeste Saint on YouTube says Trump is a G. 100% he funded HBCUs.
He did not fund HBCUs. First of all, when Trump did his budget, there was no money in there for HBCUs. It actually expired. There was a senator, it was a lady, her name was Alma, dang, I can't even think of her last name. She added that into his budget for the HBCU schools. Cut the crap.
Did he sign it?
Whoop-de-doo, he didn't put it in now. He wasn't planning on giving it.
Oh, come on. Now, you're not being fair to
He
Trump.
wasn't planning to give
You're not
it.
being fair to Keisha.
I look at it like this. You were forced to sign it. It was nothing you really wanted to do.
You really think Trump would let somebody force him to sign anything?
Let me tell you something. I don't know why y'all think he the big bad wolf. Why he right here crying and sitting in court, peeing on himself and carrying on. Trump is not the strong man y'all keep making him.
Yeah, but I think you're being a bit unfair. If one of his administrative members put something before him that he was not gonna do, and he signs it, he still gets credit for it.
I'm not giving him credit for anything that he didn't plan on doing. He wasn't studying black schools. Anytime let me tell you something. If I'm sitting down and I'm making my Christmas list and I leave you off because I don't want to give you a gift. Okay. And somebody said, well, just go on, put him on now. It'll make you look a little better. And I'm like, well, shit, I don't want to, but let me put this man on this list. Am I doing it because I want to?
Yeah, but Takesha,
am I doing it because I want to?
You're doing it. I don't care if you want.
But am I doing it because I want
to?
Okay,
technically, no. But here's the pushback. If we're going to go with that mindset, that even though you did it, you don't get credit because you didn't want to. We would not give Abraham Lincoln credit for slavery because he came out and admitted that if he could end the Civil War without freeing the slave, he would do it. You wouldn't give credit to Lyndon B. Johnson for the Civil Rights Act because he was still using the N-word. I mean, at the end of the day, if I'm dying and you do something for me,
I didn't get him credit for anything y'all do.
Then you driving a hard. Then you're not being fair. I mean, at the end of the day, if I do something for you,
the reason I come with a pushback like that, because it seems that every time somebody asks a black person to name something Trump did and they say nothing, they want to bring up HBCUs.
Okay.
Why would you bring that up to me?
Because Trump did it, and they're going to say that's something he did for blacks.
But see, that's what I'm saying. Stop trying to equate something I should be happy about because of my color. Give me something else he did that's not conducive to my color.
The economy. They're going to bring up the economy. No wars. He got us out of Afghanistan.
If I tell you one more time, I don't give Trump credit for an economy he did not create.
Well,
give me a policy that he enacted that gave him that economy.
And that's why, based on what you're saying, Cheeky Chops on YouTube said she won't give him credit if he was Jesus Christ himself. It sounds like you have a vendetta against Trump, Takesha. I mean, he got us out of Afghanistan. That is a whole war. Does he get credit for that?
Sir, he left Biden holding the bag, and then when things didn't go right, everybody dogged Biden. When Trump left office, were we still in Afghanistan?
We were leaving it. He had made the deal.
Still there?
Yeah, we were still there.
He didn't get us out there. He was gone. He didn't get us out. He was gone. Did you not hear me when I said I'm not giving him credit for anything but taking these people's minds and taking control of them, putting hate and division in this country. Wow. That's who divided this country. That's the only thing I'm giving him credit for.
All right, Takesha, you drive a hard bargain today. We're not going to sway any hearts and minds today. I appreciate you coming on, as always. Thank you.
Thank you, handsome. You have a great day.
Absolute. Same to you. Moving the program on. Wow. Nothing. That's two. Nothing. Trump didn't do a damn thing at all. I can't give him anything. Wow. Give him credit for repealing Roe. What is that? Fiat to crypto. That actually is true. He should get credit for repealing Roe. He should get credit for Operation Warp Speed. He should get credit for 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court. Those are huge accomplishments. I know a lot of my audience leans left. These are destructive accomplishments if you lean left, but understand that if someone on the left got into the White House and they gave you a 6-3 liberal majority, they codified abortion rights, you think they were a superhero. These are actually accomplishments of President Trump. No other Republican president in 50 years was able to roll back Roe v. Wade. This is what his side of the aisle wanted to happen. He gave them something they've been wanting for 50 years. So that is a huge accomplishment. You just may disagree with it. Hell, I'm pro-choice. I totally disagree with it. But I'm going to point out this is what they wanted. They got it because of President Trump. That's a huge accomplishment. Looking in the comments. Sup, dude? How you doing? Jeffrey, good afternoon. He will never be back in office because of it, though. Sadie, could be right. You could be right. We'll see what happens in a little bit less than 6 months, but you could be right. The rolling back of Roe v. Wade could be the nail in Trump's coffin, but we will see. There's no guarantee of that. Moving the program on, though. Appreciate you folks that are here tapping the screen. We should be around 50,000. 800 plus of you in here. You could be anywhere you want to be this Monday. I do appreciate you folks tuning in. I understand we don't block, ban, or censor anyone. So you may hear comments you favor, others you think are ridiculous. We go left of Bernie Sanders to having dinner with QAnon. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. Even if you totally disagree with the host, nobody gives a damn. It's all about free speech. Looking in the comments, just Google it, co-op. What does it say? He negotiated with the Taliban and agreed to pull out if they would stop fighting during his election season. Marissa, that is true. That was how Trump got us out of Afghanistan, made a deal with the Taliban. It's not an accomplishment, but at the end of the day, if you want to say under Trump, he got us out of a war. He absolutely did with the Afghanistan conflict, but at the end of the day, we didn't win anything in Afghanistan. All we did was occupy that area for a certain period of time and left. Even the oppression of women and things like that, Taliban has went right back to doing all of that shit. So there's not a lot of difference in Afghanistan now than it was before we left. They pretty much went right back to the same shit. It's kind of, I always compare it, I'll keep it moving, but I always compare it to the South before and after slavery, because we had the North go down there, defeat the South. They freed the slaves, but then just like we withdrew our soldiers out of Afghanistan, the Taliban went right back to being oppressive. The moment Lincoln, well, he got assassinated, but the moment the North withdrew their Union soldiers out of the South, they went right back to doing what they were doing. They just didn't call them slaves. They called them other names, sharecroppers. They had you could lease prisoners and make them work, and you could arrest somebody for any damn thing. They just came up with another way of slavery. So we didn't accomplish anything in Afghanistan. We just occupied it for a while. Going back to the box, Super Dave, friend of the program, good afternoon. When's your next vacation to Afghanistan, Tim? Never, alter ego, because as I stated, we didn't do anything beneficial in Afghanistan. Nothing. Same thing in Iraq. Iraq isn't a better country after we spent damn near 20 years there. I wouldn't go on a vacation to Iraq. He will never be back in office. What does this say here? That would have happened no matter who was president. We had no business there in the first place. I can't agree or disagree with you. Hold fast. Just like we could say things happening under Biden would have happened whether he was president or not. I always say when you are the coach of the team, you're responsible for the wins and losses. You don't get to blame the quarterback or another player. If the team wins, even if you're a shitty coach, you get a ring too. They put Gatorade on you. If you lose, doesn't matter how great of a coach you are. If you got a shitty team and you lose, you get accredited for the loss. So the idea that Afghanistan would have happened the same way if Trump was not enough. Okay, but he was there. So he gets the blame. It happened under his watch. That's how it works. Looking in the comments, Obama ran on stopping the war in Iraq. Yeah. Obama never wanted to war in Iraq to happen to begin with. Going back to the box, don't know what's going on with the box. The box is acting funny today. Let's try it again with MAGA Man. Good afternoon. We'll try it. There we go. MAGA Man. Good afternoon. It's a unique name. I haven't seen that one in a while.
How's it going?
It's going good. So what do you think? Nikki Haley's still getting 20% of the vote despite being out of the race for 3 months. Does that mean anything?
Oh, that's in that recent primary, right? No, I think a lot of those people are probably Democrats, and no one's really even paying attention to the primary. It's going to be Trump no matter
Why
what.
would the Democrats show up and vote in the primary that Trump is already... I mean, what would be the purpose of going down to vote for Nikki Haley, even though Trump is the clear winner? I mean, even if I don't like Trump, I'm not about to go down and vote now. I mean, this shit's over. We'll vote in November.
Well, yeah, let's say they're, even if they're Nikki Haley voters, I don't see any state swinging because the Nikki Haley voters want to sit out.
20%. You don't think that'll matter at all?
20%. I mean, that's going to be, it's not 20% of the vote, though.
That's 20% of the Republicans voted for her.
Yeah, but what's the voter turnout? Like, there's not going to be, like, there's going to be probably 10x for the general election in November. No one's paying attention.
I get what you said. So in other words, you think it's nominal. It ain't gonna really amount to much.
No, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's all just Hasbara.
So let me ask you this, because this is the other topic we were talking about is if your candidate of choice loses. Now I'm assuming you're supporting Trump, obviously with a name like MAGA Man. If Biden wins, will you accept the results of the election?
Well, if we get it in 24 hours, that'd be pretty interesting. But if it's like drawn out like 2 weeks, like you said, that's where it's like, okay, we see what's going on here.
Okay, what if it's overnight? What if by the next morning they call Biden as the winner?
I mean, you'll have to see, like, if there's like a overnight thing where they stop the count and then they restart it, and there's like these drop-off boxes where you can just put your slips wherever you want, you know.
So I'm assuming you believe the 2020. Do you believe what Trump is saying about the 2020 election, that he actually won by a landslide?
No. I only have one account on here, so like, I would say that. But,
You said I only have one account on here. Well, okay. You can say yes or no.
No, I don't think you can. That's like blatant TOS violation. Like,
I talk about it every day.
Yeah, but your last guy was getting notifications for it.
All right.
Hey, you know my answer. You talk to me. You know how I feel about this stuff. If there's not mail-in votes, it would be a lot more believable. But like,
you do realize the military mails their votes in, right?
Yeah, I understand. There's been mail-in votes for decades, but I'm talking about when you're having like 40% of the nation vote with mail-in ballots, or like 30%. Like that's where.
Why do you automatically assume the mail-in votes are cheating? I mean, is there any, just because I mailed my vote in, why do you automatically assume that is a fraudulent vote?
I mean, everyone knows it's a lot easier to. I mean, we don't have to get into it because it's against the terms of service, but.
No, I mean, the reason why I'm
boxes that, like, if I could drop off 100, I could legally drop off 100 ballots in a box in the middle of the night. Like, you couldn't do that at a voting booth, you know?
Yeah, but here's the issue. Just because something can't happen, why are you automatically assuming it did or will happen?
I mean, Biden could have won. Like, it was probably close.
Trump could have produced better evidence.
I don't think he got his day in court.
Why didn't he get his day in court?
Because that's like unprecedented and no one wanted to touch that.
No, I think it's because he didn't produce enough to the judges to hear the case. I mean, he got a 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court, and even they didn't listen to him. You don't see that as meaning anything at all. Even his own Supreme Court, that 33% of the Supreme Court is people he appointed. They would not even hear his case. That don't mean nothing.
No, like if you have like a nation like the United States and you like draw a doubt in the election, that's like a huge national security risk. If like all of Americans stop believing in the integrity of the election, that's no good.
Yeah, but do you hold him accountable for things that have now been proven to be lies, like the suggestion that the Dominion voting machines were switching vote. All of that stuff has been proven false. He himself told a lot of lies about that election.
Well, I can't really get into that on here because that'll guaranteed get you banned.
Okay. But you do understand that Fox News lost $750 million for a reason, don't you?
Yeah, I wish I could talk about it, but it's against the terms of service. Because I guess because your answer is so strong and right, and my side is so weak. That's probably why they put that terms of service.
Okay, all right, I'll leave it at that.
Let's move on to a different topic. This one's
that's it. That's what we're presenting.
It's played out. I'm focused on this next election. We want to make sure there's no funny business in the next one. Just or if there is, at least play up to the same rules that the Democrats did, because there was a lot of funky rules that I think they exploited.
Like what?
Legally, which were probably, I mean, you're allowed to just drop off 100 votes in a drop-off ballot box in the middle of the night. Like, I think there were groups that were dedicated to legally harvesting ballots, which is allowed.
Yeah, but here's the issue I have, because this is similar to 2000 Mules, is that we believe that if someone can cheat, they will and did cheat. You're actually jumping and making these assumptions. Okay, a person brings in 100 ballots. We have to assume because they're bringing in 100 that it was fraudulent and they're cheating. The idea that maybe this stuff is actually legit never enters your mind. This is the same with Dinesh D'Souza showing a down view of people coming to ballot boxes and just making this assumption that all this stuff is cheating. Or we get phone records to show somebody's coming around the same place over and over again. So we got to assume they're stopping at the mailbox and they're doing something wrong. You're making assumptions that everything...
Not just that. Like, if you look at Georgia, just the other day, 3 days ago, you see what they found there? Like, they didn't scan any of the votes. Like...
Yeah, but once
like
again, this goes back to my opinion. You only see
like something what Trump was saying.
Yeah, but this is what goes back to my opinion. You only see suspicion and improprieties when it's Democrat. You don't, all of those fake electors, you ignore all of that stuff. The Dominion vote, the Jewish space laser, you ignore all of the stuff on the right as, well, he was joking or that didn't mean that. But when it happens on the left, you see it as the gospel truth. There's all kinds of improprieties on the 2020 election from the right as well.
Well, most of the time they set out that huge, anytime you're like the terms of service, you're not allowed to talk about it. And like you start banning it from social media. You kind of know where you're going with that. It's usually true. Like, why would they ban it from social media?
Okay, I can't speak on that part, but I'm just simply saying, in regards to him saying he won by a landslide, this stuff would be a lot easier to discuss if he had far more proof.
I'm already getting banned. I believe Joe Biden won, and it was the most secure election in the world. Like, come on, guys, the most secure.
That's all I needed you to say. That's all I needed you to say. I appreciate you coming on, MAGA Man. Thank you for admitting the truth. You're always welcome back.
Yep. America first.
Talk to you later, man. All right, looking in the comments, he was a bit fearful, and sometimes discussing the 2020 election does lead to that. But that is the topic of today, is that we're asking that question, certainly after seeing Tim Scott. Some of these folks on the right are appearing on the Sunday shows, and when they're being asked, will you accept the results of the 2020 election, it's a bunch of stuttering, hesitation, and word games. A simple yes or no is not coming out of their mouths. Will you accept the results of the election in November? Not one of them has just simply said, yeah, if the stars don't align up, if there's solar flares, if the earth doesn't block the moon, it's all kinds of stuff like that. It's all kinds, which is a complex way of really saying no, in my opinion. Looking in the comments, shouldn't be hard to say yes or no, says S. Brehals. Yeah, I agree. It shouldn't be hard to say yes or no. In my opinion, before I go back to the box, and thank you folks that are tapping the screen, get me on up to 50,000. You know how this is. It's an uncensored program. In my opinion, there is a disclaimer that needs to be added. And I know a lot of my beloved MAGA may disagree with this, but the disclaimer is, I I'll accept the results of the 2020 election if Trump doesn't say there was anything wrong with it. I don't know if you really have to prove that something went wrong with the election. If Trump says it, therefore it is. If Trump says people are cheating, there's a large contingent of Republicans. That's all you need. You don't really have to show evidence. If he says it's cheating, that usually is enough for a lot of people. So when folks say, well, I need to, see this or see that, or really it's, I need to hear what Trump says. Because if he says there was some cheating, that's good enough. Looking in the comments, Trump's already saying it's cheating. Wow, really? MAGA can't think for themselves. You think it's that bad? They don't agree with Trump on getting vaccinated. I don't want to say they're completely sheep like that. The voting machines were all made in Venezuela. Oh my God. Venezuela, one of the most corrupt nations on the face of earth today, says chilling. You're gonna okay, Dominion voting machines made in Venezuela, so therefore do you realize how corrupt China is? How they've employed children, put them in factories, one-child policy, free speech is banned in China. Damn near everything we use is made in China. If you're going to point out that the Dominion voting machines are invalid because they're made in Venezuela and Venezuela is corrupt, everything we're dealing with in this country, to some degree or another, has parts at very least that were made in China. China is incredibly corrupt. Do you not trust everything that was made in China based on that statement? That's gotta be crazy. Ivanka bought a bunch of voting machines from China. Okay, I believe that one alone. If some of the 11 million illegals don't need ID or a signature, they will vote. And that goes back to my statement, what I was telling my last guest, is that all of the cheating, first of all, a lot of things are assumed. If this can happen, we assume it will happen. And if it happens, we assume it will be in favor of Democrats. That's one reason why the 2020 election did not go to court under President Trump. You can't go in there with all those assumptions. Dinesh D'Souza did a perfect job. I mean, that movie, which I've seen 6 times, it was filled with assumptions. I mean, I see these people coming by the mailbox at 2 a.m. over and over again. So I assume they're doing it on favor of Democrats, on behalf of Democrats. You don't know that. You can't go to court with assumptions. And that's what has been happening with the 2020 election. We found, we assume that if immigrants vote, they're going to vote Democrat. You don't know that. You don't know. Just because somebody is an immigrant or in this country illegally, why are you automatically assuming they're going to vote Democrat? Maybe it's because you're treating them like shit. I don't know. Maybe it's because the Democrats are actually giving them food and a place to stay, and you're talking about their poison and vermin. Is that where that's coming from? Well, I assume a Democrat's automatically going to vote Democrat. The immigrant may vote Republican. Looking in the comments, funny how you even know if they are illegal. I mean, that's a good point as well. How do you know? Did they get them, go get them, free shit, all about giving away free shit. That ain't, and the grammar on that is all over the place, but let's tackle, before I go back to the box, the free shit comment. Everything, whether it's social programs for immigrants, free lunch in schools, welfare, healthcare, it's all bundled under the umbrella of Democrats giving away free shit. Oddly enough, the folks that are often talking about how much burden on the taxpayers it is to give away free shit are the same ones talking about, instead of sending that money to the Ukraine, why not do for American people? The free shit argument, in my opinion, is the perfect pushback to anybody claiming that if we weren't sending money to the Ukraine, we could help out American citizens. Fact is, you don't want to. Before we started sending money to the Ukraine, because that war really just broke out in February of 2022, before we started sending money to the Ukraine, All of the things you would normally have done for Americans was called free shit. Even if we didn't send a dime to the Ukraine, nobody's going to look out for Americans because you're going to be having folks like yourself saying it's free shit. That's why universal health care, things like that was so difficult to come up with. So as someone who leans left myself, fuck it. If I can save lives in the Ukraine with the money, do that. Because I know if we keep the money, it's not going to come to me. At least somebody is being allowed to live, damn it. The idea that if we don't help the Ukraine, we're going to be doing for Americans is bullshit. There is no desire to do that. It's called free shit, socialism. You're not going to want to do it no matter if the money goes out or not. Looking in the comments, we don't have the money to begin with. JC, I don't get it. I watched the Super Bowl, not an empty seat. Taylor Swift is throwing concerts and charging as much as $10,000 for a seat. There's no empty seats at a Taylor Swift. What the hell do folks mean when we say we don't have the money? Does that mean we don't have the money to help you out, but I got the money to spend on what I want to do? I don't see Americans struggling like that. I mean, the luxury items in this country, people still taking flights, people still going to ball games. Hell, the WNBA is now selling out because of Caitlin Clark. I don't see people being so damn broke. I see people saying that I don't want to share with those who don't have. I don't think it's a matter of people don't have. I think it's a matter of the haves saying fuck the have-nots. Going back to the box. We'll continue moving with Barrett Gruber. Good afternoon. But they're not taking it from those people. The hell they're not. If the haves are getting an indefinite tax cut, thanks to Trump, and the have-nots has had their tax cut expire, that means the separation between wealth has grown. Because the haves are still benefiting from something that is expired for the have-nots. Barrett, good afternoon.
Hey, yes, I'm a long-time follower and first time in. I appreciate you inviting me in.
Thank you. Good to have you on. Good to have you here. So what do you think? You think that Trump is going to pull it out in November?
I don't.
Why not?
So there's a lot of issues that I think that a lot of MAGA is ignoring when it comes to some of these precincts and elections that are the primaries that are coming back, where you're seeing Nikki Haley showing, I know they're protest votes. These are people that don't want to vote for Donald Trump, so they're voting for Nikki Haley. They're showing up and voting anyway. But a lot of these people that walk out of the precincts when they're surveyed, and you can find the data on any of the polling websites, you can find these surveys where people are saying they're so tired of what it is that Trump represents. They're tired of the rhetoric. They're tired of seeing an individual that they have found either they support or they are inclined to be consistently in favor of his bad behavior or the things that he says. But there is a growing group that have zero interest in voting for an individual who pulls in so much negativity. And I think what we're going to see in November is we're going to see a decline in the number of Republicans that come out to vote. And not that they're just not voting for Trump, but they're not going to vote at all.
Well, let me just say this, because Trump just had a rally in New Jersey, a blue state. They're saying as much as 80,000 people showed up. There's still a lot of support. By the way, folks, on TikTok, tap the screen. We should be at about 70,000 by now. A lot of lazy thumbs in here. Tap the screen. Show your boy some love. Barrett, 80,000 folks showing up to a Trump rally in New Jersey. Are you sure they're not going to vote?
So here's the thing about that 80,000. If anyone goes and researches any of that, a lot, and again, this comes down to the rhetoric and the propaganda that's put out by the Trump campaign. So the facility, the space that was allowed for the rally only held 10,000 people.
Oh.
There are photographs that were published by individuals from an airplane. There's a photo. It's available you look anywhere you want. But there is a photo that was taken of the rally from in New Jersey, where that particular facility was only half full.
Let me interrupt you. Let's say Trump completely lied about numbers. Now, many folks just are echoing what you're saying. The venue only hosts 20,000 people, a few people on the outside of the venue, but nowhere near 80,000. Where the hell is Biden rallies that look like that? Even if it's only 20,000. Where? Go ahead.
Biden rallies like that don't exist.
Right.
I mean, it's and a lot of that has to do with the fact that historically you look at how campaigns ramp up before an election. We're not in that ramp up period. There has not been any conventions where the nominees have been named. We're not in that part of the campaign. Now, Trump has held rallies since Trump started holding rallies in 2017 after he was already president. I mean, he started campaigning for his next term in his first term.
But do you think Biden can pull that type of support that will physically show up at a gathering?
Biden's not Obama.
Right.
I think that the support will turn out at the elections, but I don't think rallies are representative of the people of the number of votes that you're going to get in an election. The two don't.
I'll agree with you from this standpoint. I do think rallies mean something. Rallies show there's a hell of a lot of support for Trump. The reason Biden rallies don't mean as much as what you're talking about, because I do believe there's a lot of hatred for Trump as well. The I hate Trump votes are not pro-Biden votes. So the I hate Trump people are not going to show up at a Biden rally. So Biden is going to get a lot of votes that will never show up to his rally because they don't really like him. They just hate Trump.
Yeah, no, I think that's on both sides. You have people that hate Biden, hate everything he stands for, hate how old he is, hate and then on the other side, you have people that hate Trump because
why would you hate Biden? If you don't, let me rephrase that. Why would you hate Biden if you don't love Trump? If you're on the right, I could see totally hating Biden. But if you're in the middle, or why would you hate Biden if you're not going to support Trump? I'm curious.
Yeah, I can. So from the perspective, I consider myself to be a social liberal, but a fiscal conservative. So I fall into a realm where I believe that our federal government should provide for the United States citizens, and that we should recognize the social aspect of our country. And if there are people that are in need, our country should provide support for those people in need in order to bring them up to the point where they don't need it. But I'm a fiscal conservative in the sense.
How the hell do you do that?
I don't think it's all about recognizing where our tax money goes. We have the largest consumer of our federal budget is the Pentagon, and the Pentagon has never once gone that provide whatever, but there's never been an audit to say this was wrong. Our Pentagon spent money here unnecessarily. We had we had a fighter jet that was a complete failure, and yet we still invested more than $300 billion.
You can't be a politician and do what you're suggesting without people saying you hate the military. And
it's not a hate for the military.
I get it. Let me just say it this way. I totally agree with you. It's not hate the military. Just like people who suggest holding police accountable doesn't mean you're hating the police. But if you suggest it, people are going to say you're anti-police. What you're talking about is holding the military financially accountable. People are going to spin that to suggest you hate the military.
So, and what I'll say to that is the veterans all of the veterans is one of the largest growing populations of social need dependency in this country. We have veterans that are homeless. We have veterans that are addicted to pain pills and medications. We have veterans that can't afford to live, and yet we keep investing in I'm fully in support of research and development, but if there were an audit on the Pentagon, if there were an audit to figure out where money is being mismanaged, we would find that there was probably an availability of money that could go to support the veterans, to go and support research and development, that was to have some sort of regulation to prevent false spending or unnecessary spending.
I don't disagree with you to some degree in terms of military waste, but at the end of the day, the reason that stuff is happening because it's an investment. Our military allows us to poke our nose in other people's business, and we get to exploit their country for their resources and shit like that. And if we actually shrunk the size of the military, if we did what a lot of MAGA say, where we became nationalists and focused only on America, we would become a poorer country. We would lose our superpower status. I mean, they do it because they're making money off of it. That's why they got money for wars and they don't feed the poor, is because they make money off of war and make money off of the military industrial complex. You don't make money off of taking care of American citizens.
No, you're absolutely correct. And I fundamentally, I think that it is a justice issue or it's a judgment issue over how we should be representing ourselves in the world, and also recognizing the necessity of taking care of the people in the United States. And you know, I did want to go back to the
real quick. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I have worked the election polls since 2018. I run a precinct here in South Carolina. It is one of the jobs that is thankless. It is tireless, and to hear people saying that there is this corruption to the election system, or to indicate that elections have to be voted and counted as soon as the election night is over, is absurd. And the reason I say that is because nowhere in this country are we allowed to constitutionally are we allowed to start counting votes until the day of the election. You're talking about the potential of 250 million votes across a country that doesn't have enough poll workers to do what it is they're asking for. So individuals that say that we need to have these elections counted the very night that the election occurs, you need to be volunteering. You need to go and work these elections. Go and work an election. Stop being the individual complaining about the system.
What time did the polling close at 7 or 8 at night?
7 in most states. 7. It's 12 hours long. It's 7 to 7.
And people want the results in before they go to bed. So you're talking 2 or 3 hours. Everybody in the nation should be done counting in 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, and that's not even accounting for the fact that in some states, if the election is close enough within a certain margin, that there's a threshold that's reached, that election then has to be recounted. I mean, there are so many intricacies involved in the whole thing that, and they don't, and people just don't seem to understand. But from a poll worker aspect, I mean, we work from 5 o'clock in the morning until 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night on the day of the election, simply trying to make sure that that every individual gets to vote. You know, some people will talk about the fact that there are illegals voting. There has not been a single incident of voter fraud in my district or in many of my precincts in any of the elections I've worked. And I know that some people will say, well, you know, it's going on other places. I understand the argument, but there's not been any evidence to support that there have. They talk about the 2,000 mules. That every single bit of video footage that looks like surveillance was actors. And they had to admit that surveillance wasn't even real, that was surveillance that was created for that particular documentary.
I didn't know that part of it, but I just said right off the bat, even though I watched 2,000 Mules 6 times, and I didn't know the part what you're saying they're actors, but I know if I presented evidence to my MAGA side of the aisle that came from MSNBC or Al Sharpton or somebody, it wouldn't matter what I presented. They would say that evidence is tainted because of where it's coming from. Dinesh D'Souza received a pardon from Trump. I mean, he received, yeah, so really that alone should disqualify Dinesh D'Souza regardless of what's in the movie. Because like I said, MAGA would not accept anything from somebody who had been through what Dinesh D'Souza did. Somebody who was pardoned by Biden, their information would be zero of zero value. So
exactly, Dinesh D'Souza received a pardon after he had already served his time.
Yeah. So
it's not like Trump had to go back to pardon him for something he'd already served his time. Now, I understand that, that's taking it off of his record and things like that. But he was found guilty of a crime by a jury. And then Trump went back because Dinesh D'Souza is such a huge supporter and gave him leniency. Yeah. Not leniency. He got rid of the whole thing. But I don't know, Hansel. It's such a difficult situation, and the way that you handle between the two groups is you do it very well, and I do appreciate your program. I don't want to take up too much more of your program, but I think that we have this is a situation where when it comes down to which president you want to vote for, everyone should feel they should have the reasons and they should feel what they feel. And they should vote for whom it is that they want to vote for and be secure in the fact. But when it comes down to accepting an election, people don't have to accept the election, but they also don't have to, it doesn't have to result in behavior that causes harm to others or it causes harm to the system itself. And ultimately, I know I'm asking for this, Star Trek type environment or society. But
yeah, it sounds that way.
But at some point, you don't like Biden, fine. You don't like Trump, fine. Vote for who you're going to vote for. But when the election happens and all the votes are counted and a winner is announced, we just have to accept that's the outcome. If you have an issue with whom it is that represents you, run for office.
So wait a minute then. So based on what you're saying, let's say for instance you don't want Trump and he wins. You said if you don't like the results, run for office. So that means you don't fall in the category of thinking that Trump is a threat to democracy or anything, do you?
That's a tough question.
You're sighing. You are sighing.
I believe when Trump says things, I believe what he says. I think Electric was talking about how Trump makes jokes and he doesn't mean everything he says. I believe that Trump means what he says. That's why you can go to one of his rallies and never hear a single instance or rarely hear anything about policy. You don't hear what he's going to do to improve. If he's saying that the economy is bad because Biden's president, I don't hear the solutions that he's going to have. What are his solutions? What's his plan to make the economy better? If the issue is healthcare, I mean, when he was president, we got told over and over and over again that we're 2 weeks away from a healthcare plan being announced that'll replace Obamacare. It never happened, and I get that it never got repealed, but there was no documented information available to the public from the Trump administration that actually said this is what we're going to do to provide health care to the individuals that don't already have private insurance through their employers. It's always just Trump getting, and I know I'm generalizing, but it almost always, from any of the live feeds of these rallies that you potentially watch, it's always just him claiming to be a victim, that the liberal Democrats are coming after me for this because they don't want me to win. They don't, it's at some point, Trump, if Trump is going to be the legitimate leader of the Republican Party, he needs to stop telling everyone how he's a victim.
I gotta move it on, but I disagree with you. I think what Trump is doing is so favorable to his party. I mean, even though I may not necessarily lean right, I don't think he needs to change a damn thing. He's doing so well with his constituents. I don't know if he has to make any changes. He's doing really damn well. We just discussed the rally he had in New Jersey, of all places, how at the very least, regardless of how many people the venue could hold, it was full. It was full.
Well,
so he's doing all right.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Well, I appreciate you having me on, Handsome. I appreciate it.
Anytime. Thank you. Appreciate you coming through. Thank you. So looking in the comments, and Trump lied about the numbers. Yo-yo, you can't play with my yo-yo. Trump has been known to exaggerate things. I'm not going to even pretend otherwise. If the venue only held 20,000 people, and that's a fact, then yeah, there's no way there were 80,000 people there. There's no way that was actually. Remember, Trump was talking about he had the largest inauguration crowd in history and how it was larger than Obama's. I think everybody knows that's not true. So he does exaggerate things. But folks who support Trump, they don't care about that. It doesn't affect how the country's ran. They're going to point that out and things like so. They don't care about that. But yeah, I know more about COVID than anybody. I know more about the war on the ground in Afghanistan than the generals. He exaggerates a lot, and it's probably served him well in his life. I mean, he's probably went into boardrooms and made these exaggerated claims to businesses, to banks, and they bought it. And it served him well. He's doing it because it works. I mean, people want to hear good shit, and he tells you phenomenal shit, and people buy it. So my guess is it served him well. Pep says it serves all men well. Is that true? You talking to a chick in a bar? You know I'm working with 12, don't you? Does that work? Does feeding people a line of bullshit work well for all men? I don't know. Looking in the comments, his rallies were bigger than the inauguration. What does that say? Plenty. His rallies were not bigger than Obama's inauguration. I don't buy that. He's not. You're talking about, you look at the crowd in D.C. when Obama got elected. Where is he holding rallies that has that type of capacity? His rallies are successful, but they're not in the realm of that. They're not that big. Looking in the comments, it releases their endorphins. Perhaps. They say Donald Trump and Melania had a great Mother's Day together. Probably, maybe. It's possible. I mean, I don't know if that's a, Bush, Laura Bush and George W. Bush, or Barack Obama and Michelle Obama. I don't know if it's that type of relationship, but they could have had a good day on Mother's Day together. Moving on with the program, though, we'll continue on with Angela. Good afternoon, Angela. Welcome to the program. Tapping the screen. We might be able to get up to 80,000 if you're not be lazy to my YouTubers. Smash that like button. The three dots on the top of your screen. We don't block, ban, or censor. This is an uncensored program. Angela, good afternoon. Your man for November?
I will be voting for Trump. I know he's in, but in light of what the alternative is, I really don't think there's any other choice.
What are you so concerned with if Biden wins again?
Where do I start? Well, one of the big things I think for me has been the economy, the border, Title IX. Those are just a few.
As a woman, they're suggesting that Trump is taking away women's rights. What is your take on that?
I don't think so at all. If they're referring to the abortion issue, I think he's made it pretty clear that he supports the Supreme Court's recent decision to hand that issue to individual states.
Okay. Now, it came out that some states may start tracking the pregnancy of women so that they can prosecute if they have an abortion or not. And Trump stated, yeah, that could happen, but you'll have to check with the individual states. Meaning that he is somehow, it doesn't sound like he has a problem with it. If the states want to track the pregnancies of their women within their state lines, he didn't oppose it. You don't see that as an issue for women in those states?
I could imagine that. I think that he probably would need to give a more thorough answer before I could make a judgment call on what he really thinks about that. I think that a lot of conservatives like myself and Trump really wish that the ultra conservatives would stop being so extreme on the abortion issue. I think that's crazy. The states, I'm not sure which states are talking about this tracking, but I think that's just outrageous. And I don't support that as a conservative woman.
Yeah, but think about how quick you and I discussed this, and you came out and already has said it, that it's, too far to the right and it's outrageous. This Trump stated that you got to check with the states. This has been weeks ago. Why hasn't he? I mean, if it's outrageous, why isn't he speaking out against it? I mean, he's holding rallies. I mean, he could say something about it, that it's wrong to track the pregnancy of a woman. He's not saying anything about it.
Yeah, I like I said, I don't know. I know that he's got a lot more on the line about how he states things than I do. So,
yeah, but it's frightening women, though, Angela. It's frightening a lot of women.
Well, I mean, I don't know what to tell you about that. Yeah, I don't know. I think that the extremes on both ends of that issue are kind of crazy. So,
do you believe women have a reason to be concerned?
I personally don't. I live in Oregon, who has extreme.
Yeah, you're fine. You're doing okay.
On the other opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah. But you do realize, like, for instance, the woman down in Texas, Kate Cox, 31-year-old, had a child with a chromosome disorder, had a 95% chance of no viability, and they were going to force her to have the child. She had to leave the state to have an abortion. You don't sympathize at all with women that are like that in those states?
Yeah, I do. I do. I would need to know the particulars, like when did they find out that this child had this abnormality, and yeah, I don't know.
So what is your take? You found out and you didn't act quick enough, so you're on the hook now or something?
I mean, if you want to go into detail about those kinds of particulars, I mean, if there's I'm lean into the kind of more balanced approach where I believe there should be some limits on how late an abortion should be performed.
Give me some numbers. When you say late, 15 weeks, 6 weeks?
Yeah, no, not 6 weeks. I think that's ridiculous.
That's Florida. Ron DeSantis has done that.
Yeah, I really think that's the one issue with DeSantis that I definitely disagree with. So I would say that it's tough to say, but I think where I kind of draw the line is where they've had some scientific data come out showing that an unborn child can feel pain, physical pain, beginning between 16 and 18 weeks. And then the type, when a fetus becomes that size and the way that an abortion is performed is pretty barbaric when they start to get that big in order to remove
but you admitted, you said you have an issue with DeSantis with the 6 weeks. So do you think that women in Florida should be concerned now that a 6 week ban is the law of the land down there?
I mean, yes, but I also realize that in as huge of a country as we have, Oregon has lost so many residents because they don't like the policies in our state, and that is an option. A lot of people have moved from Oregon to escape the policies here. That's probably what's going to happen in those states.
Yeah, but you're talking about things that are financial. You're not talking about people losing their lives.
Not necessarily just financial. A lot of people have left Oregon because they're just done with the politics here, the schools, the decline of our academics here and our public school system and things like that.
Okay. I mean, that is a legitimate reason to leave, but I mean, I guess we could talk about some of the schools in the right where they're trying to control what a child could be taught, and certain parts of history they want to deliver it a different way. I think that happens everywhere.
I would love to talk about that. I am a teacher. I've been a public school teacher for 20 years in Oregon. I'm a big proponent of school choice coming to Oregon, and I think that some of the talk about certain states wanting to not teach certain parts of history has been overblown and misconstrued. And so anyway.
What about the LGBT community? It's like anything LGBT related should be out of schools. Do you agree with that?
I can't say that I agree with that, because it's very you got to get into the nuance of things. Nothing is black and white. I think that what we're talking about when we in Oregon, for example, they've mandated that beginning in kindergarten, that the introduction of the concept of gender identity and having been assigned a gender at birth, and discussion of pronouns starts in kindergarten in Oregon. I think that's extreme. I think that's not necessary. I also, though, agree, I support the golden rule, which should cover everything, that you treat others the way you want to be treated. So if you have a student or a teacher or a staff member who identifies as anything under the LGBTQ rainbow, they should be respected just like anyone else. So there's a difference. There's just an extreme vision that I think has been put forth in places like Oregon, in our Oregon Department of Education, that are actually making it worse for people in that community.
What? Give me an example.
Well, for example, the principal of my local elementary school, without notifying parents, decided to teach the genderbread lesson to all of the fifth graders there. Usually that kind of thing would be like, let parents know ahead of time.
What is the gingerbread lesson? I'm not aware of what that is.
The genderbread lesson is...
Oh, gender. I think said ginger.
Not ginger. It's a spin-off of the gingerbread
I've
man.
never heard of
the
it.
Genderbread man. And they try to make it more kid-like and kid-friendly by drawing just kind of a shapeless figure of a person. And then this principal decided to discuss with the fifth graders just in my local community about how everybody's on a spectrum, born, as far as where do you feel like you lie on your sex, gender.
But wait a minute, Angela, how old is a fifth grader? What are they, 11, 12?
They're 10 and 11.
So they if you're gay, you know it by 10 or 11, wouldn't you?
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, that could be something, but why are we discussing also the gender, the idea that this is what was presented, that you could, on a daily basis, slide on the spectrum from one extreme to the other. It's just up to you and how you feel day to day. And therefore, people should respect your pronouns on what you determine them to be day to day. And this principal also went on to describe how you could tuck your penis or bind your breasts to make you look more like the gender you identify with. So conceal your sexual characteristics, your body parts, to match
you do understand that that's something that is not being discussed in 99% of American schools. You're pointing out what sounds like a very extreme example.
It's not extreme at all. In Oregon, California, and Washington, the entire left coast, it's very commonplace.
You think it's very common to teach fifth graders about tucking their genitalia on the West Coast? You think that's common over there?
I think that's very common, yes.
I watch a lot of right-wing media, and they're not even complaining about that. I have not heard that.
Well, that's because a lot of people, and here's the thing also, the reason why I came up to begin with was the gentleman was talking about the elections, and when I heard him say it's not all rigged, he worked in a polling. I worked in an election office here locally for 2022 during our governor's race, and as a conservative, and by the way, I was a Democrat for 35 years and changed parties 2 years ago. So, born and raised in Oregon. So Wait a minute,
you changed parties 2 years ago. So you're talking about in 2022?
In about 2022 is when I did officially change my party. I've been voting more conservative over the last 7-8 years.
Who'd you vote for, Trump versus Hillary?
Oh, Trump, for sure.
Okay, that's more than 2 years ago. That's 4 right there.
Like I said, I officially on paper registered as a Republican 2 years ago.
Okay,
but
sure.
I've been voting conservative probably for 7 or 8 years.
Okay, all right.
So anyway, my point is that at the election office, in Oregon, what's very frustrating is that a lot of our conservative voters or moderate voters have just given up on voting altogether because we keep hearing this mantra of it's all rigged, your vote doesn't count. And
do you believe that though? Angela, do you believe that?
Oh, I missed it. I do not. I absolutely do not believe that. And here's why. I mean, having worked in the elections office, I saw firsthand how close our governor's race was just in my county. And I also saw how tightly run a ship it was and how balanced it was and how you had people from each party represented at each ballot counting or ballot opening of envelopes table.
Yeah, but what about the notion that because you mentioned it's all rigged and things like that. Most of that language came from Trump started in 2015. Do you believe it's possible that maybe Trump has overstated how inaccurate our election to the point where he's kind of riled up people about a lot of issues in regards to the election that may not be valid or may not exist?
So that's the point I wanted to touch on. I was trying to get to is that a lot of conservatives say it's all rigged, and I wish they wouldn't say it because they keep focusing on the actual elections at the election office with the ballots all being rigged. And what I would say is not overstated is the rigging in so much as the biased media that most of our populace is exposed to repeatedly day in and day out. That bias is very, very effective.
I agree with that, but let me make sure I agree that the media can tell lies and sway things. So what you're saying is that the media is biased in terms of the election, but when it comes to actually casting your vote, that's not rigged that much.
I have no proof of one way or another, but I think it's overstated.
So Trump won by a landslide. Do you believe that's accurate?
I really don't. He did not win. I wouldn't put it past that maybe some monkey business was going on in some swing states. But when people in Oregon say, the Republicans are constantly in Oregon saying it's all rigged, and I mean Republicans, some Republican voters, not the legislators. They just harp on that in Oregon, not realizing, hello, look at our numbers. There are more Democrats here, and even more, there's more non-affiliated voters.
But being a conservative woman yourself, likely to vote for Trump, how do you feel that you're about to vote for somebody who, in your opinion, is saying he won an election that he didn't even win?
Now, I just want to clarify again. I'm not saying that there wasn't. I have not seen proof enough to one side or another if there was some rigging of some sort going on above and beyond media in the swing state.
Angela, it's been 3 years. If he won by a landslide, he should have presented proof by now. I mean, it's been like how long do you give him before you say maybe this didn't happen?
Yeah, no, like I said, that's not a big issue for me. I'm not hanging my hat on the whole thing about it being rigged. I'm just saying that it was rigged in the social media aspect. The Facebook wouldn't even allow the Hunter Biden stuff out. I mean, there was a lot of things that were being manipulated on social media platforms and in our
but you're bringing that up. You do realize Trump is in court right now because he was using the National Enquirer to squash information as well. They both were doing that.
I don't think Trump's reach in the manipulating of any media was nearly what it is.
Right-wing networks are doing it as well. I watched Judge Jeanine Pirro on January 6th say that was Antifa. She wasn't even there. So both sides are doing it. The right justice saying, well, you guys got more networks than we do, so your cheating has more of an effect. But they're doing it too.
Oh, for sure. But I mean, let's face it. I mean, if you're that overwhelmed, I mean, It's not even a close. It's not just a little bit more leaning to the left in the media. We're talking 99% of the mainstream media is left, not to mention the public schools.
I don't know if it's 99%.
And the colleges. I'm telling you, the public schools, K through 12, and our universities are heavy, heavy left. The teachers' unions, heavy, heavy left. And this is all part of the manipulation and the rigging, so-called rigging.
I got to move it on. I'll give you the last word, but let me just say this. In regards to the universities and things being heavy left and it's rigging, I don't think it's rigging, Angela. I'll tell you why. The policies of the Republican Party are not in line with folks that are in that age category. They're pro-marijuana. No. Hold on. They're pro-marijuana. They are not big on police. They're not big on religion. What the Republican Party stands for is not attractive to young people.
That I would disagree with, and here's why.
Pro-life?
When I talk about you're talking about the students. I'm talking about the professors, the board of the universities. I'm talking about the infrastructure of the universities is heavy left.
Right.
There's maybe 1% of staff professors at universities that might be conservative. That's not an accident.
No one is going. Liberal students, young people who tend to lean left, are not going to go to schools where the staff leans right. If you had half of the colleges or half of the universities lean right and half lean left, most of the young people will go to the ones that lean left. Because the right-leaning universities will be pro-Christian, pro-life. The young folks don't want nothing to do with that.
Okay, so you want to exist in a binary, and I'm about balance. I'm like, where's the equal kind of more balanced representation? Why do you have to be right or left to be a professor at any university? Like why is it so predominantly? And trust me, I know several professors who are conservative at liberal colleges, and they, just like all of my public school teacher friends, live in silence, and they will be ostracized and bullied if they share their political views because they are not left.
They're doing it because the purpose of the school is to make money. If this school can appeal to young folks, they're more likely to go there. It's just the way it is. Like I said, conservative principles appeal to older people. Look at conservative media. No. Look at the ads that they have. They're selling gold. They're talking about doing things with your Roth IRA. They're not even advertising to young people.
I will just push back and remind you that pretty much half of our nation is moderate or conservative, and all of those kids are going to colleges too. We're not just drawing from one demographic. So there is when the left always talks about equal representation and equality, they are really doing the exact opposite of that.
I disagree with you from this standpoint. When you say half of the country is conservative, not half of the young crowd. If you're talking about the under 30 crowd, half of them are not conservative. Now, half of the country as a whole, maybe. But when you're talking about the university and school age crowd, it's nowhere near half. Them folks are leaning left, if not all the way to the progressive side of the aisle. You don't see a lot of pro-Israel protests coming from young folks. They're pro. Yeah, go ahead.
Typically, conservatives or the pro-Israel crowd are not the type to throw protests. That's just a different kind of personality. The right doesn't typically throw protests. The left is notorious for that. That just because they're louder doesn't mean there's more of them. It's
All right.
It's a kind of a fallacy.
Fair enough. I appreciate you coming on, Angela. Is that first time talking?
I think so. Thank you for having me up.
Excellent conversation. Come on back anytime. We don't have to agree. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Looking in the comments, now, and I see Corey says, yes, she's right. She was saying that the loudest, the squeakiest wheel gets the oil. There's some validity to that, but I do stand by my original statement. The younger crowd is overwhelmingly left. They're overwhelmingly left. Like I said, when you look at what the right stands for, everything from being pro-life, talking about Christianity, even up to the point of Christianity in schools. And the young crowd is not big on that. The young crowd is not trying to do that stuff. They're not very LGBT friendly, talking about the right. The young crowd is very LGBT friendly. So it's just the values. I don't believe the values of the now in the older, over 50, there's a lot of love for conservatives in that crowd. But the under 30, no, I don't see it. Look it in the box. On the ones coming out of liberal schools. There has to be right-wing schools. I'm telling you, anywhere, I don't know how to say it, anywhere where you have a large group of young individuals, young adults, it is going to be mostly liberals, progressives. That's the mindset. You think forgiving tuition, universal health care, raising the minimum wage, you think these are things that the young folks don't want? The people who are most likely to be affected by that stuff? The right is not a fan of raising minimum wage. The young crowd is going to overwhelmingly be in favor of that. Universal health care, tuition forgiveness. These are things the right are against. These are things that young crowd is because they're dealing with all this shit. They're dealing with it. Pro-life, pro-choice. The young crowd are the ones that might actually need to make a decision like that. The older crowd, they've already passed those years up. They're not worried about it anymore. So, yeah, there's a reason why the schools tend to all seem to lean left. It's the policies of the parties. It's the policies of the party. Look it in the comments. These are things Democrats always promise. That, well, the Democrats make promise and maybe they don't even deliver. But the fact is they're promising it. Let's say you get a promise to raise minimum wage. The other side is staunchly against it. Even if this side doesn't do it, if you want it raised, you're going to be over here. At least they're talking about it. This side is like, hell no. That makes a difference. Name Barber, thank you for the super chat, says the younger generation doesn't have the luxury to look away from social issues like the previous generations. I agree with that. All of this stuff that many on the right refer to as free shit, the younger generation wants that stuff. Almost all of it. It's the over 50 crowd. The crowd with all the damn money is the crowd that's saying, I don't want to pay for any of this stuff. So that crowd is where you're likely to find the conservatives. The conservatives appeal far more to the haves than the have-nots, because the conservatives don't believe in forcing you to look out for the have-nots. If you are a have and you don't want to share, you should vote conservative, because they're not going to force you to. I'm going to be honest. When you say free shit, the liberals will force the haves to look out for the have-nots. The Republicans won't do that. If the have-nots can't find their way, then they deserve whatever's coming to them. The liberals won't. Liberals don't have that mindset. Look at it in the comments. The right always go out of their way to stop those. The comment flew up. To stop those promises, even if they say they agree, like the border. It works for the constituency. Going back to the box, continuing on, Minnesota Finn, good afternoon, welcome to the program. Will you accept the results of the 2024 election if your side doesn't win? Minnesota Finn, good afternoon.
Hey, yes, I would. I would accept it. I mean, I'm always like, I wish. But if I can accept the Hillary loss, I can accept all the rest of them. Okay. It's not like one is better than the other. I don't follow the stupid. My grandmother was an election worker for over 40 years and has a plaque from the state of Wisconsin to do it. So I've always known that there is more than one person. It's like they always say, it's like they changed the results. Well, if you knew it had to go through 6 different people, you had to mean that 6 people agreed to do this all together. It's about procedure. And the lady who said, I worked the polls, I know my state wasn't, but I don't think all the other states, is willfully ignorant. She the reason why things like that happen. I can't believe it. It must be something wonky. Well, you done seen the process and you still can't say, well, damn, it's probably similar to what we got. More than likely, they can never do that. It has to not make sense. Even if they can't believe, they lying eyes all the time. There's always a reason why their stuff was right, but everybody else was wrong.
Well,
no,
I'm
I don't
hearing
even like Trump, so
I'm hearing that Trump won by a landslide. What say you?
Trump didn't win by no damn landslide. We all know that. I mean, that's what they only believe they're God. That's it. You can give them as much information. If it ain't coming from Trump, then they don't believe it. They can be a party to it and say, if he didn't say it, I don't believe it. After this long, handsome, you know damn well he didn't win by a landslide. We still harping on that. You just gonna choose to be stupid, then choose to be stupid.
Well, the reason I brought it up, you got an echo. Do you have Bluetooth on or something?
Yep, let me take you off. Hold on. Okay, I'm on.
The reason why I brought it up is because Trump just had a rally. You still got an echo. I don't know what's going on.
Hold on, sorry. My background went crazy. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, the reason I brought it up, you still got echo. I don't know why it's doing that. Trump had a rally this weekend in New Jersey, and he's still talking about he won the election. He just did it a couple of days ago.
Yeah, but do you really believe that?
He's saying it. People do believe it.
I don't believe nothing. Look, we talk about the rallies all the time, Hanson. And my whole thing is when did having Nazi rallies be a part of the election system that we count that as how you're popular?
Wait, you said a Nazi rally? Where's that coming from?
Nazi rallies. They be Nazi rallies. They only there to just say how horrible everybody else is. Look at those people. Let's make them vermin. Let's talk down about everybody. Like the other caller said, he ain't coming with ideas. When it was a political rally before, we would have fireside chats where they're telling us what they're going to do. All Trump does is at his rally go harp against all the Democrats, say they're horrible, they're out to get me, look what they're doing to me, I'm just like you, and nothing with any solving of any problem. It's never about that. And then you get all those people who are in there just as happy as him, fuck those people. And they do it to say that they own and live. They're not doing it to actually solve a problem in the country. Wow. And I don't know. I'm a Democrat, but I ain't feeling no deities. I don't need to be at a rally to know who I'm gonna vote for. I'm gonna vote for the guy who got some resolution to my problems. I ain't heard a resolution at all. And even when you saying what Trump done said, he's saying I can say I'm gonna give you $1 million, but how that's gonna happen? When you gonna mail it? Is it come in 6 weeks, or is it gonna come in this? He never has details to these grandiose plans that he say he gonna do. And then everybody act like, oh, everybody gotta read between the lines for Trump, but Biden, we have to hear exactly what he says. Everybody understand what Trump said. Well, he don't even say a word about it. We get what he gonna say. We understand him. I don't read between the lines. I listen to what that man say. I see what he do for his actions, and I make my decisions off of that.
I gotta agree with one part when you say that Trump's words often get, when Biden says stuff like "vote for me or you ain't black," we take them at face value. When Trump says if you're Jewish and you don't vote for, if you're Jewish and you vote for Biden, that means you hate Israel. Well, we need to hear the context of it. And that does happen. I don't know why that happens so much. When Trump makes statements, nothing can be taken at face value because he offered to get a police immunity. And it's, well, he didn't mean it this way. He meant it that way. You don't normally hear that in reference to Biden.
He says is held accountable by anybody. If you ever ask anybody, 90% of them go, I didn't hear that, because they don't hear. And even when you listening to Fox, because I know you listen like I do, I want to hear everybody's opinion. If you got a good opinion, I don't care what's behind your name. I just want to hear a good opinion and a good plan, period, right?
Yeah.
So I listen, and every time Biden gets on the screen, they cut away to have Harris Faulkner or somebody try to explain to me what he said. Why can't y'all make a decision and hear what he says completely? Or they cut the speech, and I get tired of hearing these right wing. There's more media for the left. No, there's people who actually like what the left has to say, but we got more than one channel. You got Fox, you got Newsmax, you got 50 million radio. If we were going to say the same thing, we could say about these damn AM radios and all of them that's been around for however long, that's been dominating those rural people who can't afford cable or don't have Wi-Fi hookups. So the media is equal when it comes to that. It just depends on the demographic that you're talking about. Because if I go to the rural South, I'm only hearing all the conservative media. When I go to Florida, if I go into certain areas of Florida, I'm amazed at the crazy ass DeSantis commercials that I'm listening to, and it's completely opposite than what I hear when I'm in my area. And again, my name is Minnesota Fan, so you know where I'm at. So
that's a good point. That is a good point. When it comes to talk radio, it is nowhere near equal. The right dominates. AM radio. I don't know any really popular left-wing program. I think it used to be Air America or something, but there really is no really well-known liberal program like that on radio. It is dominated by the right.
Exactly, but they always go, well, since we can't watch our people on TV, it's dominated by the left. Get out, let that go, okay? It's always an excuse. And then that lady, I swear, she got under my skin so bad, and I'm sorry. The lady who's the conservative woman, she is a perfect example of the difference between conservative women and democratic women or liberal women.
How so?
Women who are liberal women are all about us as a whole. They care about all the women. They care about women in other states. They care about women that's going in. They care about all of us. They care about our children. She go, I'm in Oregon. I don't care. Well, hell, I'm in Minnesota. It's been in my constitution beforehand. But I also know that my daughter might decide she's going to move to Florida. I know that there might be situations where people are going to have to go across. I know that I don't want a person who lives in Texas to have to go through that type of scenario. Yeah. And it's always, I don't mind that it went to the States. What's wrong with it going between me and my doctor? No one ever explained what's the problem between me and my doctor making the decision about how my body is. They'll have all those nuances that she needed to know in order to make a decision. Why do I have to take that to a judge? Yeah. Why should I have to?
Yeah, I don't understand. Yeah, I gotta say that, and I will say that to my MAGA audience, is that it seems weird that if a doctor is saying that this procedure is best for this patient, that the courts can overrule with no medical history at all. That does seem weird. That you're taking the power out of the doctor's hand that may know the patient and giving it to a senator or a judge or somebody else that has no medical history at all. That does seem a bit odd.
And here's the last thing. I'm going to say this because it came up on a couple shows. I've been gone. I had to take a mental break from the political, so I just came back, so you ain't seen me in your lives a lot. But I will say this. It kills me on two levels when it comes to abortion. There is not one specific avenue where a male is required to risk his life. Wow. They don't have to do the draft. They can cut that off. There is nothing that says that you're required. Now, there are situations you can become a police officer. Those are willingly done things. But this is the one thing that women are required to risk their life no matter what. Because I don't give a damn how healthy your pregnancy is. When it comes to labor and delivery, you are risking your life. And whether I have to choose 10% of a life risk or 90% of a life risk, I get to choose when I want to risk my life for whatever reason. Why is that not okay? That's the part that really bothers me. It's like, y'all don't see that it's a risk. Childbirth is common. Yes, it happens all the time. We procreate. But people do really die in childbirth.
Well, I've said it. I don't disagree with anything you're saying, but I've said it before. The goal is to save the life of the unborn. I don't think they care about you. If you die in the process, you die. It's about saving that child.
I loved yesterday when you told the guy, well, take out the baby when you hear the heartbeat, right. Take it out. Yeah. I love that. Because the truth is that is where the problem is. If you really feel that unborn life is unborn and can do on its own, you don't need me. So don't make me risk to do it. Just save that baby.
Well
or
said.
Fetus or whatever. It's not for me, but I'm not going to choose for you. So I'm not going to say that everybody should get one. I think everybody should have a choice in doing what they want to do within their family planning and in their life and in their body. As a woman, before birth and after birth, it's been 20 years since I gave birth, and I'm still cracking jokes about the after effects that happened to my body since I've had a baby. So it ain't just that you walk away after you give a baby. Them are lifetime changes to your whole entire body as a woman. And any woman who has given birth knows that. It ain't as simple as that.
All right, Minnesota. Good talk. Appreciate you coming on. I don't disagree. Like I said, I don't think they give a damn about the woman. It's about saving that child, but I do appreciate you coming on.
Yep, have a good day.
Thank you. A little to the left with the choral. Certainly wanted to thank you for your support on that. Thank you for the graphics. Wow, thank you. A little to the left for that support. Minnesota is so smart, says, what does that say? Starlight one. Minnesota, you are the best, says Maureen. I hate that. The way the pro-life movement set up, it is set up to show little to no concern of the host. It's about the baby growing inside the host that is carrying the baby. There's little to no concern about that person. It just, I mean, like I said, certainly in areas where they don't even give a damn if if your life is at risk. We are focused on saving the life of the unborn. I use the example of Dolph Lundgren and Rocky IV looking over Carl Weathers, Drago looking down at Apollo Creed. If he dies, he dies. I mean, it's like a doctor, or better yet, a politician. It's like having a politician in the labor and delivery room, and the doctor is saying she dies. Save the child. If that's all we're really focused on. If she doesn't make it, she doesn't make it. But make sure you save that child. Look at in the comments. They don't care about the babies. It's just political. Now, that's really bad if that's the case. Babbling says stray. Just babbling. Fair enough. Looking in the comment section. Only the kid matters at that time. God wanted women to have kids as punishment. Take it up with God. That's a really, really strong statement. That came from First Watch. Only the kid matters at that time. Probably during pregnancy. During pregnancy, only the kid matters. God wanted women to have children as punishment. Take it up with God. If you have a problem with that is, oh my God, Jesus. This is why this is why I'm not very religious. That doesn't make me want to open up a Bible at all. If God is willing to do that, I want to get away from God. He sounds pretty damn heinous. Wow, that's cold. The Oregon women don't agree. Got a fucking mosquito in. The Oregon women don't agree about states tracking pregnancy, but she will still vote for him. Well, the counter argument is going to be you don't agree with everything Biden or RFK does. You're picking them because they're the best out of what's being offered. You're not going to agree with any politician 100% of the time, but in my opinion, not giving a damn about whether a woman lives or dies is a pretty strong reason to decide at the ballot box. I want $2 gas. I would like to have less global conflicts. But the idea of somebody that could die in childbirth and we don't give a damn about that, or little to no concern, or we tell her you should have thought better in war protection, or, God didn't put you in this reason for... I have a problem with it. I just do. Looking in the comments, I don't agree with abortion. I feel like you should have to take a class. Wow. If you want to go through with it, after that, then the blood's on your hands, says V Pyro. Yikes. Here's the issue I have with that. You should have to take a class before you terminate a child. You can buy an AR-15 without ever demonstrating you know how to use it. We don't want to pass a law that requires you have to know how to use the gun you're buying. But you want a class. I just think that our priority is a bit weird here, because we're focused on responsibility when it comes to abortion, up to and including talking about potentially tracking women that get pregnant so you can prosecute them. But if I go out and buy a cache of AR-15s, the law says I shouldn't be tracked. Because she, the one that's pregnant, is the one that might actually kill somebody, not me with all the guns. I ain't no danger to nobody. I think some of this stuff is backwards in nature. You realize you can actually go out and buy a gun if you don't have arms and legs? You still have a right to own a gun even if you don't have eyes. And some of it is backwards to me. That's just my opinion. Looking in the comments, Republicans are funded by the NRA. They do heavily favor those two groups are pretty good into pretty keen on each other. That is true. I used to think like a liberal, not anymore. And don't vote Democrat anymore too, says Yasmin. That actually does happen with age. It happens with age. The older you get, the more conservative you get. A lot of it has to do with, in my humble opinion, I know a lot of you folks may disagree. You know, it's an uncensored program. You're entitled to do so. In my opinion, it's to get off my lawn politics. You know what the young stands for. You know, the music, you know, what they, you know, everything from their pants around their asses to dyeing their hair blue or you name it. You know what the younger crowd, the older crowd, you're outdated. You don't like that type of stuff. The older and the younger crowd don't get along with each other like that. What the younger crowd favors, the older crowd generally is, you know, I'm in the house every damn day. I don't, you know, pass an ordinance banning loud music. I mean, you don't get along with them when you get older, you're more conservative with your money, things like that. It does make sense. As you get older, you may become more conservative. You certainly aren't going to be making pro-choice, pro-life decisions when you're my age or older. So that represents most of the pro-life crowd is people who won't have to make a decision anymore. The folks who may actually have to make a decision, and you got folks like in North Carolina talking about the woman who has an abortion should qualify for the death penalty. The young crowd ain't down with that because they're the ones that may actually be subject to it. You know, like my last caller, you know, she's been, or my caller before last, teaching in Oregon for a number of years. She's outside of that. She don't have to worry about that happening anymore. Looking in the comments, you tell me, what does that say? I don't know where it went. Shit. It's because the older crowd still thinks they need to parent young adults. And it could be that too. There's some of that in there. There is some of that in there. Until you asking for a little bit of money, and then it's like you need to find, then you're not parenting. I'm 25 and most of my friends are 30 to 40. Can you tell me what my politics are? Well, first of all, I need to know the friends you're hanging around. That may have a hell of a lot to do with it. I need to know what the type of company you're keeping. I don't know if you're hanging around at Black Lives Matter gatherings or Klan rally. I need to know who you're hanging around. That may have a lot to do with how you feel. Looking in the comments here real quick. I am only 51. My nephew is a Republican. He's only 24. And that's one of the things too. He, the pronoun he. I do believe this. And mess again, like I said, if I'm wrong, you guys can tell me in the comments. I do believe that the Republican Party is far more attractive to males. Certainly, if you had enough of feminists, you've had enough of the Me Too movement. You believe men are not being. The Republican Party is far more attractive to males, even blacks. The Republican Party is under Trump, at least, is doing better with African Americans than Bush, Reagan, Mitt Romney, John McCain. Trump is doing better with blacks. Men. You'll see blacks all over social media supporting Trump. It is overwhelmingly men. You very rarely see a black woman, standalone black woman, talking about how much she's going to support Trump on social media. Candace Owens is almost like an island. You don't see a lot of it's men. There are plenty of black men that support Trump. And that's because as I stated, Trump appeals to the alpha male. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But I'm just saying it is overwhelmingly men. Even in the younger crowd, if you're going to talk about being 24 and your friends are, it's men. It's men. Looking in the comments. A lot of people are easily led and fooled. President Trump, I don't believe you really did lose. You use your, I'm going to assume you're being sarcastic. Going back to the box, use your son's college savings to help out Trump. Friend of the program, Stick Darula. Good afternoon, Stick. If the box lets you know. Good afternoon, Stick.
What's going on? Handsome, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Asking that question, will you accept the 2020 election results if your candidate of choice loses?
Yeah, I mean, I already have. Hillary Clinton lost. Your boy, Clinton's vice president.
Al Gore.
Al Gore, thank you. One of the smartest people out there, but, you know, they try to put the stupid on them. It is what it is. But, yeah, I've had 2 candidates lose in my lifetime, and I accepted it.
You didn't buy into the notion that the Russians prevented Hillary Clinton from winning?
No, it was no reason to buy into that. It was just one of those things where I believe the little investigation at the end is what tipped the scale, and they won regardless. You know, it is what it is, and we already know that the Democrats and or left-leaning, we can take a loss, you know, because we don't do nothing but get stronger. As you see, what happened with Trump, he won, we lost, we came back and fired his ass. So it is what it is.
What about the folks who say you didn't fire him, you cheated and stole the election?
Well, I would say if I cheated, show me proof.
Yeah.
If I cheated, why Trump doesn't have proof of it? And at the same time, it was his people that was counting the votes in the sense of he was still president. Yeah. So, I mean, if anybody would have had more pull, it would have been him. I mean, right now, he's not even the president, but he got the speaker of the House ear. So, I mean, show me where he cheated. As far as the Democrats and or Joe Biden and the Harris administration, show me where they cheated. If you show me where they cheated, that's something different. Yeah. But if you can't show me where they cheated, then you just talking.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I say the same thing all the time. Okay, it's one thing to say there was cheating or Trump won. Evidence would make a lot more people believe it, particularly on the Republican side. Fact is, I don't think there's a single Republican senator that believes Trump won by a landslide. But I know a lot of MAGA believe that the Republicans are all part of the swamp and everything too.
Well, the thing of it is definitely they are part of the swamp. But the whole thing of it is Trump rebuilt the swamp. That's all he did.
Wow.
I mean, he got rid of some of that. Yeah, he just got rid of some of the grass that overgrows the wet stuff and soaks up the swamp. He actually put some amphibious vehicles out there, bulldozed it, got all the trash out of it in the sense of, hey, I want y'all alligators to be able to just, anybody that wants to come in, man, y'all got free dibs on it.
So you make it sound like Trump is bad for America.
I mean, he is. He definitely is. I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, people just seem to forget all the things that he has done. I heard you earlier giving him, you know, the props about the Supreme Court justices and different things like that. But we know at least one of them, you know, they swindled out of Barack Obama. Yeah. We know at least one of them, Barack could have put somebody in, and we could have at least had would it be 4 to 5 or whatever?
Yeah, it would be. Yeah. But, in regards to what you're saying, in regards to what you're saying, there are 2 Supreme Court justices. I think Clarence Thomas and I forgot the other one. They're in their early 70s. If Biden wins, they'll be in their late 70s by the time he comes out. So it's a possibility whoever wins this next election could get certainly if Trump wins, most likely Clarence Thomas and maybe the other one, I can't think of his name, they probably will both step down to let him replace him with a younger Republican. But if Biden wins, he may get to replace one of them.
Well, that's great. And that would, you know, make the Supreme Court look a little bit better. It wouldn't just be so old-fashioned because they're 80 and these kids are 18 to 35.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These are the people. That's the next generation right there, 18 to 35. So, I'm
what about packing the court? I had Moo on earlier saying that Biden, if he win, Biden should pack the court. Do you believe he should do that?
I believe he should pack the court, but not the way that maybe it sounds with him. I just believe he should pack the court with people that are more not left-leaning, but progressive, whether it's Democrat or Republican. Just more the understanding that this is the computer age. This is not the cotton gin age.
Why would you follow up? Mitch McConnell clearly cheated and prevented Obama from making a pick, which is clearly biased in favor of the Republicans. You're going to say pack the court, but do it in a fair manner?
Well, I would not just say a fair manner. I would just really, really look at the judge and how they rule and see that this judge, more than any other judge, went towards either the letter of the law and or the Constitution, with the time given and with the punishment given. You know what I mean? Okay. And if there was even needed in that certain case for a punishment to be given, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things where you have to actually do your due diligence. Don't get a rub on the elbow and say this is our guy, and then you just go by somebody telling you this is our guy. And that's how it's been going. This is our person. This is who we're gonna run with.
But that's how the country was. But that's kind of how the country was founded, though, Stick. I mean, we've always ran it that way.
Nah, but see now, just like with a little bit of what MAGA's saying, I mean, it is time for a change. It's just time for that part to be up out of here. Like all the rubbing elbows and all that good stuff. That's why Trump is not going to jail at this time, in the sense of he broke the gag order. So I mean, he's not in prison right now or in jail because they're giving him that bump on the elbow, saying, don't worry about it, we got you. You kind of sort of a part of the club.
Wow.
So I mean, just being honest, I mean, you seeing it in real time, Hansel. I mean, every day he goes to court. Every day he farts. He passes gas and he falls asleep. He's disrespectful. He mumbles up under his breath. Let alone after the court's over, he goes out there and then he breaks the gag order. So at the end of the day, it is you rub my back, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. That judge in Florida is just blatantly
that's bad. The judge
she's blatantly showing you her loyalty. And then on top of that, she knows 9 times out of 10 what she's doing is helping Trump. So at the end of the day, that's the part of the swamp that he did not drain. He has those loyalists where he needs them to be at this time, and he's not even the president, and he's still pulling strings. And so, again, this is what we're dealing with, and I just think it's time for us to get rid of that.
Maybe it's about time, if he has this kind of power, maybe it's about time we just bow down and realize he's the next commander-in-chief.
Well, the thing of it is, the only people that's going to bow down is MAGA. They already bowed down. They already don't care whether he has get convicted of SA or what do they call it civilly? Anyway, yeah, he was civilly found liable.
He was found liable for sexual assault with Eugene Carroll. Yeah.
Exactly. And then on top of that, you have the new thing now where it's about the hush money, but of course the media is going to spin it on the actual sexual acts that were, performed. But at the end of the day, the law is that he took money, campaign money, and paid her and made it look, it's hush money.
He tried to, they caught and killed the story.
Yeah, he made it business. Yeah, he tried to say it was business, expenses. And so at the end of the day, you break the law, you have to see the letter of the law, and he right now he has different people in different places pulling strings, making it to where he's able to fall asleep in court and fart in court and, you know, make a mockery of the justice system. And that's the only thing MAGA likes. MAGA likes that he don't care really about the country, but they love this country.
Wait a minute, but Stick, they think the charges are bullshit to begin with.
But see, that's just the thing. Why would you think the charges are bullshit to begin with when you know it's a process? Now, and the reason I say they know it's a process because we can say he's guilty, but they can say, well, he's got to go through the process.
Yeah.
So you know it's a process. So with that process, they also have to have a grand jury that looks at evidence and says, hey, you have all the evidence you need to file charges. So go ahead, we'll proceed. And that's what happened with indictments. But because they don't want to listen and they don't want to hear it, and they're, you know, Trump has already said they don't like to hear bad stuff about me.
That is true.
That's what they run with. That's what they run with. And that's why nothing from the left or even moderate is good enough. It has to come from his mouth. If it doesn't come from his mouth, it's not true. It's fake news.
I gotta move it on, but that's a good position to be in, where if you're gonna believe something, it has to come out of my mouth. I mean, that's a powerful position. But Stick, I gotta move it on, man.
So sounds like cult behavior to me.
I gotta go.
Sounds like cult
I gotta go. I'll let that stay as it is. Stormy admitted she wanted vengeance in court. That's true. That is true. But I'll tell you this right off the bat. I'm going to use a typical MAGA excuse. I know a lot of folks ain't going to like this, but in regards to Stormy Daniels admitting in court she wanted vengeance, you're taking it out of context. She was just joking. She's in court. She could be out filming a porno, making money. She was kind of upset that she'd been called in to testify, so she just made a joke about wanting vengeance because she'd rather be on the set making money. See how that works? Now, Stormy Daniels does not like Trump. I do agree with that. But I'm just saying that you're holding people accountable for making statements. But then when Trump makes the same, all of a sudden, where they're just joking and taking out of context and things like that. Looking in the comments, TikToker says, so she lied under oath. Yeah, perhaps. That could be the case, but yeah, I believe her when she said she got a vendetta against Trump. I believe her on that. I don't think she's lying about it. I'm just using a MAGA statement, just making a joke. Didn't mean it. I mean, because that's what we're basically saying when Trump promises to get a cop's immunity, or that COVID will be gone by April, or that he knows more about COVID. He's making it. So he's lying. That's what he's not under oath, but he's basically, you're saying he's lying about it. So I'm not a fan of it. I think that when you're at that level, certainly at a presidential level, people should be able to take you on face value on what you're saying. It should not be so many backdoor I don't try to reinterpret Joe Biden talking about, I don't want my kids growing up in a racial jungle, or vote for me, you ain't black. I don't reinterpret what he's talking about. You don't hear no one, even liberals that support Biden, saying you're taking that out of context. No, they hold him accountable for it. I don't know why so many things that Trump says is followed up with you're taking it out of context. Look, a guy says he want to get a cop's immunity. Why can't you take him at face value? I don't know if that makes for a really good joke. The same thing, I had somebody tell me when Trump said the coronavirus would be gone by April. He was just joking. And I kind of went off on the guy because I'm thinking, like, you got people dying all over the damn place. They don't even know what this virus is. Why would you make a joke during that time? I mean, people were dying everywhere at the point when he said that. It'll be gone by April. That's not a time for comedy. And somebody actually said that was a joke. Like, really? Well, I mean, you got funeral homes saying they got so many people dying that they can't even take an appointment for your loved one. That's not the time to start joking, making jokes. And I had somebody tell me, yeah, it was a joke. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, right? Looking in the comments, why won't he take the stand and say it under oath? He would be creamed. Trump would be cremated if he took the stand. As we talked about early in the program, Trump exaggerates. Trump says a lot of things, and it's served him well in life, exaggerating. But in court, they don't refer to it as exaggerating. It's either true or not. You just told a lie. If you say something and they can show later that you knew what you were saying was not true, or as people say, a joke, you're going to be slapped with a perjury. And we know Trump, because he said so many bad things about the judge in this case, just like with the E. Jean Carroll case, many folks believe that $330 million is a really ridiculous sum. I believe it. I view it as being excessive as well, by the way. I think that slapping him with a $330-something million judgment is excessive as well. But what I'm pointing out in regards to the judges is that when you go in court and you treat judges like shit, that's what happens. This judge he's dealing with in New York with this Alvin Bragg case, if he's convicted, I expect him to, I wouldn't be surprised if that judge threw him in jail for a little bit. Even though this is probably not the kind of case where a person should go to jail. I mean, you're really bad on judges. And then you walk out of court expecting them to judge your family. I mean, he's talked about the family members of that judge. Same thing with Engelron in the E. Jean Carroll case. I don't know why it has suddenly become acceptable to bash judges. If the cops treated me like shit, made up a completely bogus arrest, and everybody knew it, and I went to court and started treating the judge like shit, everybody would still be telling me that's not the right way to do that. Even though the charges are bullshit, what do they always say, protest the right way? You don't go off on a judge because the cops railroaded you. That's what everybody would be saying. I don't know how Trump gets a pass for doing that. These judges don't have control over the cases they receive. Engelron and the judge here in New York on Alvin, they didn't pick that out of they didn't get the right to choose Trump as a defendant. They just get that case. You shouldn't bash the judge. I mean, it's possible he may actually have ruled fairly. But once you start treating him like shit, why would he? I don't think there's many of you in here that would be fair to a defendant that acts like Trump. Talking about your kids and shit like that. I don't think many of you would be fair to that person. Where you put out a gag order and the person is constantly violating the gag order, saying you're the worst judge in history, until the next one coming in, he said that judge is the worst. I don't think any of us, right or left, would be kind to a defendant doing the stuff Trump is doing. Some of this stuff he's bringing on himself. Even if Alvin Bragg, or you want to believe that the city of New York, their charges are bullshit or whatever, the judge didn't impose those charges. Let the judge handle the case. He might actually be fair. But once you start doing all of that, you kind of guarantee it's not going to go that way. Like in the comments, Coffee says the judge is corrupt. Based on what? Based on what makes it corrupt? What did he do other than start adjudicating Trump's case? The moment you don't tell Trump you're dismissed, you're not guilty, you're corrupt. What did he do that's so corrupt? The judge didn't like Trump from the get-go, even before the trial. Trump didn't like him either. It's corrupt if you don't like Trump, but Trump ain't corrupt if he don't like you. Trump ain't saying nothing positive about the city of New York. He got up there and said 95% of the jury is Democrat. And they're not, therefore, because 95% of the jury is Democrat, I cannot count on them to be smart enough to come to court and judge me fairly. That's an insult to the jury. The case has not even been up for a verdict, and you've insulted the jury. And people are okay with that. People are okay with that. So if I get tried, rural Alabama, Republican town, overly white population, who would be in favor of me saying some shit like that? I can't rely on this jury to decide fairly because they're all white. Everybody would be hammering me for that. It's wrong. It's okay to say if something is wrong. He shouldn't be saying that. I mean, he's basically saying all Democrats can't be trusted or something of that nature to rule fairly or not. It's an insult to the jury. It really is. And if you're okay with it, I don't know what else to say, because you talk about Hillary Clinton, deplorables, Obama, they cleaning their Bibles and their guns. It's clear the Republicans don't like to be grouped up into one tidy package, but they're okay when Trump does it to liberals, because that is exactly what he's doing to that jury in New York City. That's exactly what he's doing. And by the way, understand, folks, the jury in New York City is not sequestered. It's not like the O.J. Simpson trial. They go home, they can watch TV. In fact, they had one of the court days was short because one of them had a dentist appointment or whatever. So they can go home, turn on the news, and hear him insulting people like that. Think that's going to work out well for him? They have access to the news. They can hear him saying bad things about the jury. They can hear him. They can hear the fact that the judge had to admonish him and put a gag order out and things like that. The jury can hear that stuff. How do you support that? That activity in court, not talking about the man or the politician, but how do people support defendants going to court doing that stuff? Or is it because it's Trump? Anyhow, folks, it is your boy Tim, the handsome liberal, 1 p.m. Central, 1300 hours. See you tomorrow. Thank you for you folks on YouTube as well. Uncle fucking Ruckus says for MJ, I love it. You even look like him. Uncle Ruckus is in the crowd pointing out Uncle Ruckus. I guess that's what that is. Stormy and Cohen go all over the news. So is Trump. So is Trump. Trump is all over the news too. Trump was all over the news before announcing he was running for office. He's doing it also. Is it only fair when he does it? Catch you tomorrow.